salesman from back when I used to
Sorry.
sell cars.
Anyways, continue. Just quickly, can you summarize like what
Well, Landon,
it
what's your
is
age?
that
I'm curious because I want
I'm,
to
eight,
know.
I'm 18.
Oh, never mind. My boss was like in his late 30s. Anyways, different Landon. So I believe that feminism harms dating. It has negative effects towards dating compared to the opposite, which would be patriarchal or traditional norms. Masculine
What do you
men,
mean? So,
masculine men, feminine women. I would argue this is ideal as opposed to what we have going on now, where both parties have been they're pushed towards operating against their own nature, against their own intuitions and instincts. And this creates negative effects in dating, such as women losing value, men having a perceived less value from women. These are the types of negative effects it'll have. I can get into those.
okay.
Why would you
See,
consider
I
yourself
kind
a
of agree
feminist?
with you. Not fully. I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, yes, I would, but in the way that I support the women in Afghanistan who are, that are going through injustices, and I support women in men's fields and women doing things that are naturally becoming more normal. If that makes sense.
Give me an
Why do
example
you
of
See, I'm
support
kind of a
feminism?
I'm kind of a naturalist myself, so I kind of do understand where you're coming from as
naturalist. I
far
don't know what that
as
is.
well, it's kind of more about hold on.
Redhead pop, no doubt. Backwoods 808, got the whole woods glitched out.
Would you mind?
What the?
Is that? Let me see. Let me start. Not you. Is it? Oh, okay. All right. Well, Discord, we're letting off. And sorry about muting everybody. I just had to check who that was. All right. Thanks
I'm
for
sorry
the.
about that.
No worries. I think that was Landon, so I had to X him out. Thanks for coming up. Thanks for the likes, guys. Oh, baby. You have other things to worry about.
Feminism is destroying. Now that I think about it, why hasn't Dove
Uh-oh, Mr.
said
Pokey.
anything?
Pokey, we're having another issue with your mic again. Dating my sister, I'm not letting... I'm not dating. Why you want to come up all the time? What do you got? What do you got? Dating is always freaking dating my sister, man. It's always trolling coming up. I'm not sure
So
why
are you black?
Yeah, I am.
Why is your skin white though?
It just is. What does that have to do with the prompt?
Because of Michael Jackson.
What does that have to do with the prompt, Dan?
Maybe you're talking about Michael Jackson.
Okay, so basically, instead of BBC, it's WBC.
Sure, but I'm technically black. Do you have anything you want to mention on the topic? Or you have any questions about that?
Yes. Why are you anti-feminist?
Because we'll start with firstly that I believe that the feminist dating advice, the feminist ideology, the feminist movement towards egalitarianism has negative effects in dating. I'll give you one example. Women who have institutionally subscribed to feminism, wholesale, pretty much. It's pretty much in the culture. They are going to see men and women, they're going to see themselves as equals to men. Therefore, they're going to have equal dating preferences that they themselves would want in a man. They'll become those things. They'll become that type of ideal man in order to attract other men, but this is not attractive to men. Men are not interested in heroism per se. It's cool, but it's not what we prioritize. Men are not interested in careers. It's cool, but it's not what we prioritize. Men are interested in fertility, faithfulness, or let's just say less bodies generally. Men are interested in women who are not having a bunch of male friends. But if a woman acts like a man and she procures all the things, the qualities of a man, she's going to think that she's somehow more competitive on the dating market, but in actuality, she has a delusional set of her value. But why is this
So,
important?
are
It's
you just
important because
jealous?
I have no reason to be jealous of a woman. I'm not jealous of anyone in general, but women, I mean, they're different than me. We live different lives. We have different incentives. We're not the same. So I'm not sure why I would be jealous of that. Why do you think I'm jealous?
Because you're saying that you want like a submissive little girl like the Afghanis want in the Taliban.
Yeah, well, what's your evidence of that? Because I've given you
Have you
practical. I've given
seen
you
the
practical.
Taliban? Have you been to Afghanistan?
No, I have not. Have you been to Afghanistan?
Everything my dad served there.
So you've never been. You've
Everything-
only heard stories.
Everything you've described is literally what the Taliban wants in a girl.
Okay,
And I
so
say
I'm
girl
talking about women
because-
that are of age and that can make their own
I
decisions.
understand, I
So
understand.
you're talking about girls
But
like
I
at
say
what age are
girl
we talking about?
because, like 12 years old,
All right, well,
right? I say girl because
F off. You're not being serious. So, anyways, Ramala, thanks for coming up.
Hey, how are you?
Doing all right. Thanks for asking. What is your age, ma'am?
I'm 28. I'll be 29 this month.
Oh, happy early birthday.
Thank you. So what is like I guess like my question, he was weird. He was all over the place. Like, what is an anti-feminist, I guess, in Western society?
A person who does not support egalitarianism, at least for the context of this prompt, will speak on dating. I don't support egalitarianism in dating. When it comes to dignity, I believe that everyone is deserving of dignity for the most part, unless you're deserving of capital punishment for committing crimes. But other than that, most people are deserving of dignity. So this is the baseline of equal morality that I would afford everyone. But this is something we had in our patriarchal society. But
Okay,
where I would
so do you
differentiate would be
believe, like,
last thing where I would differentiate is when it comes to roles and specialization. Feminism is trying to meld all these things. They're trying to make men act like women and vice versa. And they're shaming everyone into fitting into those categories. And I think this is harmful for dating because it creates false and delusional expectations.
Okay, so do you believe like men and women are equal or no?
Men and women are equal in dignity, but not in role. Men are not.
Right. So
Women
we
are
have our
not
different
generally.
roles.
Women are not generally seen as protectors, and men are not generally seen as motherly. But these are roles that we specialize in, and often this is how it's enforced. Oftentimes, the way it's enforced is by women. Women have an expectation of initiation, protection, provision, feeling safe and secure. These are things that women want, and men step up to the plate for those things. But a feminist will say, you feeling these things, it's internalized misogyny because you are feeling unequal to this man. And but in reality, we have the same dignity, but different roles, and oftentimes different responsibilities. Therefore, the authority will follow that.
Okay, I agree with that so far, but I'm curious, like, do you see the unbalance in today's society, I'm sure, with like the mixing of the gender roles, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes, ma'am.
Who do you blame for that?
Well, to give a long history lesson short, in my opinion, from looking at history, a bunch of rich and oftentimes privileged women had grievances about how women were, and they predicted that feminism would be a cure. It would make women more responsible. But as of right now, from the philosophers of people like Susan B. Anthony, or, well, she's more of a thinker. Mary Wollstonecraft is a philosopher/writer. They predicted that if we gave women the equal rights, they would become more responsible in our society. But that's not what's happened. What's happened is the opposite. Women, if you ask, is there any gender duty that a woman has that's specific to her being a female? She will scoff at this. So the women who caused it were the thinkers and the writers, then the robber barons and the funders who funded a large portion of the suffragette movement, and to a lot of corporations and money and propagandists like Bernays, I think, or maybe his son. So it's basically a so-called grassroots event, but it's just a concerted effort to separate the man and the woman to destroy the nuclear family because it has Marxist underpinnings.
So you don't think like men are like feminine these days, and that there's a reason why women are starting to act like men?
Feminine men definitely contribute to the decay of our relations. If that answers your question more.
Yeah, like this is where I'm going with it, is that I think the men of society have set up a society where they convinced women that they can be their partners as like men, but then at the same time shame women for behaving like men. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's kind of
feminist
falls
men
back onto you
are,
guys, honestly.
personally, I view them more detestable than the women. Because if anybody can make something happen, it would be the men. I think I would, but the blame is kind of difficult because we live in a democracy where even the minority sometimes can force the hand and the will of the people. The suffragette movement was not popular up until perhaps the last 2 or 3 years of its push. So a lot of women were against it. But both sides benefit. The woman benefits because she gets to have a level of autonomy that I would argue is not deserved or owed to her. And the man can relinquish his authority because he can avoid responsibility. So it benefits both sides. I'm not so sure who's a clear culprit, though.
Interesting. Do you think that feminism was needed in Western society, like 100 years ago, when women weren't allowed to have their own bank accounts, et cetera, et cetera?
No, because
You think-
you would have to make the assumption that without feminism we wouldn't have had those things. But the evidence that that's not true. Here's how we would have likely got more, if you want to call it progressive, just more authority. Women would have got more authority because of things like their contributions to society, governmentally and politically, before suffrage, or before suffrage was passed, before the 19th Amendment. Women were able to get the abolition of alcohol, which is literally nationwide. They were able to secure park and reservations for land in America. They were able to get child labor laws passed. They were able to get welfare systems, kind of like the rudimentary versions of those. This is without feminism. So it stands to reason that without feminism, you would have likely had a similar amount of, or women having a similar amount of power as they did in the past. Their power was just softer than it is now.
I don't know. It's just like, do you find it a good thing or a bad thing that women can have their own bank accounts?
I think. Do I find it a good thing? I think women who are responsible should have the bank accounts. So I think that's good. That would have happened in the past, though.
But
Oftentimes,
you said you and I are equal in dignity, correct?
Mhm.
Right. So to have our dignity, we should each be able to live in dignity, correct?
Dignity, yes.
Okay, so let's say I was a widow or whatever my situation might be. I have the right to be able to have the ability to spend money on myself, correct?
Yeah, spending your money on yourself is different than credit.
Owning like a bank account where I can put my money in should be perfectly okay with you.
So from mine, I'm not sure if that's your end of your
So,
question.
so like if you were married, your wife can have her own bank account, right?
Yeah, she can, but it's
Okay.
a bit different than how it was in the past. Women oftentimes didn't have assets, and the ones that did were able to get lines of credit. But the way the system was set up before was, sure, women couldn't have credit cards, but they also could not accrue debt, which means they could
And
run up their husbands or the male, I guess you want to call him a conservator or like person who had coverture over the woman. They could run up his debt and then send him to prison if he didn't pay it. So the reasoning behind, from my understanding, why women were not allowed generally to hold credit was because they didn't have assets. having a cosigner you could do in the past. It would be similar to people who just get out and just become 18 and then are trying to get a loan on a car. Well,
Okay, should women have
real quick, you're
assets?
forcing the institutions to take a risk that they perhaps might not be comfortable with. If you know a woman
I
or a
don't think
man,
I don't
whoever,
think
who doesn't have any assets, do you want to give him a line of credit? Likely not.
I don't think you and I could force corporate America to do anything. Not
It's
you
not
or
true. We
me.
have laws in place
But
that literally
hold on.
do that. They regulate the
Wait,
market,
wait.
and we
Do you think
force the companies all the time to do X, literally every day. What you mean?
okay? And there's a reason that they do that. It has nothing to do with what, like, they're not taking a risk. It's we're the ones that are taking a risk. Because once our credit is screwed, we're screwed. They don't lose anything.
But they
Corporate America doesn't lose
lose.
anything from us.
Okay, well,
We're the ones that lose. But my
let-
point is this: Are you,
yeah.
if you're cool with women having their own bank accounts, are you cool with your women working? Like, what about feminism bothers you? I guess. What is
Well,
it?
feminism, principally, I disagree with because men and women are not equal. And because men and women are not equal, we have different expectations. Because we have different expectations, there's different responsibility. We have different responsibility than the authority should follow. That's different. So I'll give you an example. Women are generally not capable of fighting the wars. I will point to all of history as a proof of that. It would be a just probability, an argument from probability, an inductive argument. Women are generally, from what I see throughout history, they're not capable of collectively overthrowing the will of men. However, men, whether they be a small group, many, weak, or powerful, they can overthrow their state of affairs. Because of this, women fighting wars is almost, it's impractical. It's against logic. And if women indeed are not capable of fighting for the rights of an entire sovereign country, we're talking about wars and policing, enforcement, and defense. Women are not collectively capable of doing that, and they have not been historically. They shouldn't have the responsibility of deciding the regime or how things go in a country in that context. If things like finances, presidencies, and policy can lead us into war rather quickly, this should be something that you should strip from them.
Oh my god! Because men don't make bad financial decisions.
So the difference is women can make money, men can make money collectively. Women cannot collectively enforce their rights. They cannot collectively win wars against men. That's how wars are fought. So when we look at sovereignty, we look at how territory laws and order is established, it is through the male collective force, or monopoly of force. Because this is the case,
Wait. According to what society?
according to basically all societies.
That's
Name
not
me a
true.
society. Name me a society where there's a matriarchy, not just in the front end where the women are writing the laws, but in the back end where they're fighting and enforcing those laws. Give me a society that exists today.
Enforcing those laws?
Yes.
I don't think women have to play necessarily like a role in enforcing a law to have some effect in a law taking place.
So
Like
they
for
don't have to
example,
have a part
like
in enforcing.
there's
they don't have to
countries
have
in
an
the
part.
world where women always
Mhm.
had the right to inherit. Women always had the right to have a business if they wanted to. Women
Mhm.
always had the right to have a bank account or use money. There are places on earth that are like this. It is Western feminism that was needed to save your woman from your oppression.
Okay. So explain to me how feminism was needed. Because I just explained to you evidence that there were many laws and women had power before they even had the right to vote. So explain to me how feminism was needed.
Yeah, so feminism was needed in America because your women were oppressed. Your men were not your men were taking advantage of them. Women were not allowed to have their own bank accounts. They were not allowed to lease a home in their name. They were not allowed to have a telephone in their name. There was no inheritance laws for women in America. Therefore, women in America had to fight for basic human rights.
Okay,
that
so
any human being should be able to have.
I don't grant fight because when we're talking about enforcement, if you agree with the premise that women cannot collectively overthrow the will of men, then men are effectively agreeing or granting any right that women have. Because if you look at Afghanistan, I think it was either you or someone who just popped up
No, it was
talking
the
about
person before
Afghanistan.
me. Yeah, it was the
Women,
person before me.
yeah, so it's obvious that women get their rights stripped from them every time, and their only remedy is other men, whether it be a different regime from across the water, like America, or a neighboring insurgent male group. It's still going to be men to give women the remedy
Dude,
to
that's
have any
fine. I'm
rights.
fine with
Okay, so
that.
if
My
that's
point is, why do
fine,
I why,
if
that,
that's
why do I have
fine,
to fight
if
you
you
for it?
accept,
Is my
okay,
question.
you
No,
say
no, no. Why do I
fighting,
have to?
we
You
have to
should not be
define.
oppressive.
You say fighting, we have to define this term. When you say fighting, you might mean get a picket fence or a picket sign and then march on the street. When I say fight, I mean get it in blood. You're going to DIE for this. You're going to need to get it violently. Women don't operate like that, and historically they're not able. So if that's the case, then granting rights effectively comes from men. And if that's the case, that ability must be acknowledged.
So now you're just making a completely different claim, implying that that only fighting for something can be through violence. That's incorrect.
So how else do you have laws outside of force?
You can. What do you mean? Through diplomacy, through showing up, through protesting. There's a lot of ways that
Here's how
people
that's wrong.
make and create laws.
Here's
What
how
are you
that's
talking
wrong.
about?
If you let's just say you sign something into law, and one person says, "Hey, this is a law," and the other group says, "No, it's not." The only way that you can enforce that law is by the barrel of a weapon or a billy club or military. If you don't have that, you effectively have no law. You can write whatever you want. It's effectively meaningless. Is that correct?
No, a law can be established without violence. Is that correct?
No, it's not. And here's how.
What?
I'll give you another example. You may say you have a right to something, but if I say you don't, the only equalizer in that is whether or not the cops is going to defend your right or the court is going to defend your right, correct?
Okay, sure.
So without that cop or that military, you may have that right in your head, but you cannot actualize it physically to make me obey it. And that's how our system works, and that's how virtually all civilized systems work here.
Okay, were women in America did it have to get to a military extent to get their laws?
No, it did not.
Okay, so laws were put in place, and today now there's laws that cover me from like oppressive men, correct?
Yeah, but this would be a
Okay.
benevolent patriarchy.
Okay, cool. But it was done without violence, correct?
Hard violence, yes, but violence is always implied. If a robber knows that the cop is not going to be there, you won't have law and order in that system. If a cop's presence is known, like you've seen him around the way, and you know that he's going to use that weapon, then you're going to respect his order. If you know that he's not, then you're not going to respect the order. This is why I'm explaining to you that, sure, you didn't have to fight or to get something, but without the implied force, you don't have a system because no one will
You
respect it.
fought for it. American women fought for it. They just didn't have to fight through violence. That's where I differ with you.
Yeah, but because they did not have to fight for violence, it only demonstrates that they're not. It demonstrates more that they're not capable of doing that, and that would be a historical.
That's fine.
thing.
I don't want to achieve goals through violence. Like I think it's silly. I think as many goals as I can achieve without being violent, that's a great thing.
But what you're
That
not
just shows how
understanding is
much
that
greater
sure.
we are than you.
I think you're misunderstanding. Like if I say I want X and you say you want Y, oftentimes the way we get to whether I get to agree or what my will is happens is voting, right? In our society, right? A democracy for the most part, right?
Okay.
That system is not violent in front of you, but it is backed by violence because who will enforce that right is the policeman and the military. Without those things, we don't have any rights. Do you understand that?
No, we have rights regardless of police, but yeah,
your
police
head?
sure enforce it.
Okay,
No, through a
so
court system, through a constitution,
as
like
a social,
through,
you're
yeah,
mentioning social constructions here. So it's like this.
right.
It's in the head. It's in the mind. You might
Mhm.
collectively agree, but it's an abstraction. It doesn't
Sure.
exist outside in the real world. The way that we make it exist is by forcing people to comply. So you say you don't live in a violent society and you don't want to live off of a society like that, but what you don't understand is our society is based on violence. Another case in point. Let's just say you believe in the right to AB your child, and I don't. And I want to stand in front of the clinics to make sure you cannot go in. I want to deny you the right to your reproductive rights.
Okay.
The only thing that can keep your right is me complying by force. And who's going to do that? The cops. Right.
Right.
And if I run up if I run up more stars and I get my GTA level to 4 stars, the military is going to come if I can fight off the police. So eventually it comes down to force. That's what I'm explaining to you. So the society you live
Okay,
is
so
based on violence.
we women forced men to give us rights.
No. The system that
Literally, that's what
no,
you're saying. Yeah.
remember, male monopoly on force is exclusive collective male trait. And because of this, men grant the rights, not the other way around.
Okay, sure, no problem. What's important is I have my rights. Like, what are you gonna do about it?
Well, what's important is the thing is, at any time your rights can be taken away from you, and you have no recourse outside of appealing to a beta male, a feminist male, maybe a different patriarchy but they're all patriarchies. So the
Okay,
patriarchy is inescapable. So feminism is a contradiction. That's the ultimate point.
Okay, no problem. Feminism is a contradiction, but it exists and somehow protects your woman from like oppressive men. So I don't know. Like, I think it's very much real.
So
And it
feminism is
exists.
the assumption or the belief that we should all be equal, right? Men should be equal to women, right?
Yes.
And we move towards an egalitarianism, maybe some type of egalitarian utopia, or just a egalitarian society with the removal of patriarchy, right?
Sure.
What I'm explaining to you is the patriarchy that you always have to appeal to, making it a contradiction. Feminism is false by that argument. So you're saying feminism forces men to do X. It's incorrect because feminism can only
I was being
exist if it appeals to
sarcastic.
men.
I'm trying to show you that it's like what you're saying is silly, is that it's like the working of two people, the two genders together. You can't just like anyway, dude, I'm trying to understand what your like is your issue with gender roles or is your issue with women having rights as a
Well,
whole?
we got to the first wave through your line of questioning, so I know it's straight off from the topic. But I mean, I can argue from each wave, and we can talk about the second and the third, which is how it affects the prompt or how it's related to the prompt. The second and the third waves are especially bad because they started to develop the idea of removing the patriarchy. Patriarchy, once again, is necessary from the top down. And when you have societies where there's rampant matriarchies, like the black community, you have high crime, high illegitimacy rate, etc. Matriarchies, in this sense, are not good for society, and they put a large strain on the more productive people in the society because they have to subsidize it, welfare, food stamps, etc. But then dating, because baby moms are likely going to create more baby moms. Baby daddies are likely going to create more baby dads, so it becomes a cycle. But sexual liberation and women or feminists trying to move to destroying the nuclear family, that's what you have. It's directly causal.
Okay. You take a woman out on a date, are you paying or not?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm assuming you want a stay-at-home wife, right?
I'm married. I
Stay-at-home
already
mom?
have one.
Oh, okay, perfect. Do you pay for everything?
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, she can contribute if she wants, but I mean, the money she makes with her business and all that is never to provide.
Okay.
I would
So
never
I don't
expect
think
that of
you're
her.
anti-feminist, to be honest. Because if a woman tells you she wants to work and you're cool with that, then you're not really anti-feminist.
Yeah, but if I decide no, I have the final say. She must submit.
Okay,
That
that's fine. I mean, is
that would
she
make a
cool
feminist
with
catch on
that?
fire. Not always, but I mean, submission is not you submit when it's convenient. You submit. Submission is really matters when there's high stakes and you do disagree. Like you wouldn't say a person is loyal because they have every reason to conveniently agree to. Loyalty is often measured when no one's looking, when you have to sacrifice. This is where submission really meets the road.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I gotta go.
Yeah, thanks for questioning. I know it was a bit contentious, but I think you're being very a good sport.
No problem.
All right, take care.
What do you mean good sport? She literally won. You're saying good sport isn't like she lost, that
She
she took
didn't
the
win
L
anything.
lightly.
Juan, so
She
Juan, what
didn't
do you think? What do you think,
You-
Juan?
No,
Not one.
you're absolutely right, right? Because everything you're saying is spot on, man. I have the monopoly of force. Any right that anyone has is only because men allow it.
Well,
And
what do you think
they-
about the gentleman's response? He said, he said the lady won. I think we had an
Yeah, no, she did.
exchange. I mean, some of her points
There
she
was
didn't really defend that well. There wasn't.
I think
there
he
wasn't.
educated her, like legitimately educated her.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't mean to not introduce anybody. Juan, welcome back up, dude. Welcome. What's your age, dude?
19.
All right, welcome. Hey, what is your age?
I'm 21, man.
Thanks for coming up. Star Girl.
Yeah,
Star Girl, what is your age?
19.
19. All right, thanks for coming up. Z Justice, thanks for the heart. Star, are you a feminist? You have star
Yeah.
power?
No.
Okay. Well, do you think feminism is good for dating?
What does feminism has to do with dating?
Feminism has to do with dating because feminism, defined and how it's practiced in the West, is the movement of egalitarianism or equality amongst the sexes. But it's not just politically, it is in all aspects of life, from the way you earn money to how you enculturate to how you have mating strategies. It becomes a all-inclusive ideology, and that's how the feminists intended it to be. The philosophers.
What's
intended it to
wrong
be
with
that.
being equal to your partner?
What's wrong with being equal to your partner is there's no such thing. Oftentimes, equality is really in reality in flux. Just because you say there's no authority, that doesn't mean there isn't a default authority. So, for example, let's just say you guys agree that no one is equal or no one's higher than the other. But in reality, one person is more domineering and they tend to get their way more. That's the effective leader. So leadership, just because I'm explaining that, that's a big flaw in this whole equal partnership thing, is because when stakes get high, when there's less time to think and you can't flesh out ideas, someone needs to take the authority and someone needs to assume the responsibility.
So you want to be the alpha male. That's just what you're trying to say. You want to be the alpha male in a relationship. You want all power because you feel like you hold all power. There's nothing wrong with going 50-50 with your partner and being equal in a relationship. There's nothing wrong with equity and equality. If you hate women having equal rights the same as men, then you may just be weird.
Okay, so
At
but
this
despite
point.
me being weird, what is your evidence that feminism is good for dating?
Feminism have nothing to do with dating.
Okay, so I just explained to you that the philosophers, especially the second and third wave, wanted to make sure that the patriarchy was dismantled through to the destruction of the nuclear
Right.
family. So their intent was to have feminism not just as a political ideology, but also in practical life and how you mate, how you date, how you have a job. It is completely. They wanted to make it mainstream. So you're saying feminism has nothing to do with dating. You're just incorrect, and you're misusing. You're going against your own feminist heroes.
No, because
name one.
feminism is about equality, whether you're dating someone or not.
Wait a
but-
minute. So now you're speaking out a different side of your mouth now. Whether you're dating or
No.
not.
I made the same point. You want me to answer how feminism is related to dating. I'm telling you there's no difference whether you're dating someone or not. could still be like a feminist. Like it's not hurting your partner to be a feminist. To want equality is
You're
not
just
hurting
asserting,
anyone.
you're not
Actually,
demonstrating. You're just reasserting your initial claim. So let me ask you a question. Who's more feminist? A woman who insists that a man pays for the date, or a woman who insists that they go Dutch and they split? Who's more of a feminist if all else is
splitting
right?
the date
So you're demonstrating that a
or
person.
both. However,
Okay, so one who does it and one who doesn't. You see how that's a contradiction, right?
okay. See, my opinion. Whoever asks for the date they happen, they should pay for it. Like if I ask a man on a date, of course I'm gonna pay. If a man asks me on a date, he should pay.
Yeah, but you're just hiding the fact that most men initiate because most women expect them to. Most women who benefit from a traditional patriarchal norm, but don't want to acknowledge it. That's all
No
you're
one
doing.
benefits from
Yeah.
patriarchy but white men.
Okay, so the moment a man opens the door for you because he acknowledges that you're the weaker sex, you benefit from not having to hold the
But
door open. The moment a man
women
the
aren't
moment a man
weaker
protects
sex.
you from danger, knowing that men are generally stronger than women, therefore
Protect us from what? Other men?
yes, but okay, yes, you're correct.
Not just
Other
other
men,
men,
but
the
you're only
whole-
demonstrating that there's a benevolent patriarchy that protects you with chivalry and traditional roles that you benefit from. That's all you're. That's
I
all
want
you're.
you to know feminism also helps men.
Man,
Okay,
Can I-
can you
can I
explain
just
how
add-
does feminism help
It's
men?
also
please?
about men.
All right.
Okay.
So instead of asserting, please give me
Little
evidence.
men know about Men's Mental Health Month and they don't acknowledge it. Men,
men?
should be allowed to feel.
Okay, so men feel all the time. Men
When
just
I
do
say little
things-
men, I mean a certain group
Yeah.
of people. Not many
Little-
people know that Men's
You mean
Mental
little,
Health
like
Month
small
exists.
amount, a small amount of men? What you mean?
You don't see most people celebrating Men's Mental Health Month and saying, "Hey guys, we understand how you feel. We see how you
Okay.
feel.
Yeah,
You
because
should
we
speak
just
up
don't.
about how you
We
feel."
just don't.
add-
Oftentimes,
Let me-
there's a time and place for that.
Feminism speaks about that.
Yeah, so there's a time and place for men to be vulnerable with each other, but generally we don't do it and we don't emote online. When it comes to men who are desperate, there may be a benefit to that.
Shit.
Hey,
I'm
man,
in
nice
two calls at the same
nice
time.
dance moves, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so we don't.
Bro,
we
do you
don't
want to
protect you
explain
from-
what feminism
Hold on.
is?
Just please add something. Thanks. We don't just protect you from other men. We protect you from all of the elements, everything. Right. The whole infrastructure protects. Infrastructure that men built protects you from the elements, like my house is built. We have zoos, so there's no natural predators unaliving us because we have put them all in basically cages to keep us from being unalive. Those are all men doing that.
I ain't
right?
gonna
So we
lie,
don't
bro.
just
I
protect
can't hear you. I'm in another call, so I'm just gonna leave.
All right, well, thanks for not answering any questions, just reasserting your position. Another feminist dodger.
Oh, I have a question. Is this?
I was making a good point, so she ran away.
Well,
Like,
if you
what?
want to continue that point, and then I'll answer the question.
Yeah. Let me finish the.
I'm not gonna lie, respectfully, the host is beautiful, bro.
I appreciate it. That's a little bit.
All right. So
That's a
let
little
me
bit fruit by the foot, but you know,
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
a little rainbow up there. But anyway, so yeah, the fact that men uphold all the important structures of society by 90% or more, 80 to 90%, depending on what field, just goes to show that men are not just protecting you from other men, right? We're protecting you from everything that you don't even not even aware, protecting women from things they're not even aware of, because it's just so normal in society that people don't even understand, like just basic things like electricity,
It's definitely
plumbing.
taking it for granted. We protect them from the collapse of infrastructure. We protect them from, like you said, predators, not just males, but also animals. We protect them from the elements. We protect them from the damn heat. I mean, HVAC is supported by a majority of men. So I mean, like,
See, this is what they like to do. So I didn't say I was protecting anyone. I said other men. So I even have to appeal to stronger men to do that. And
who
I
are you
appreciate
protecting, Juan?
Yeah.
Who are you protecting? Who are you
And
personally protecting?
Honestly, I'm pretty strong. Like I don't want to just talk about myself. Like how I just say I can handle myself.
Nah, you want to talk about yourself? Don't lie. You want to talk about your muscles, bro. Come on.
Anyway, I can handle myself. I'll leave it like that.
Yeah, and it's good that men have physical prowess. It's good that men meet the call a performance to meet the expectation of other men around them, but particularly women. Women benefit from men being masculine protectors, have the presumption of
can't-
security. It's
I do
good
have
that
to lose the
it's a
weight,
good
though,
society.
so-
Yeah, I mean, but
I
even
hate
if you're
hitting
even if
the
you're a fat dude, that doesn't mean you can't thump a dude on the head with all your weight on it. You know what I'm saying? You're still adequate. But I think someone wanted to ask the question.
Yeah, I was gonna say, does this come from Christianity? Like, are you a Christian saying this? I don't know anything about you, so.
Yeah, I am, but in reality, a lot of Christian institutions as of late are pretty damn feminized. So
No, but I'm asking about you.
does it come from
Like
my
your
faith? It's
version of
definitely
Christianity.
a lot of it is informed. I do believe that the Christian faith is inherently patriarchal. I do believe that, and it enforces patriarchal norms in the family and how the Christian administration works out, like pastors and deacons. There's exclusion of female authority in those roles, but it's
First
only
Timothy
because it's
2:12.
consistent.
Yeah.
It's just consistent with how God tended to do things in the Old Testament to the New. So I mean,
Yeah,
For me,
that
it
was
has
my
nothing to
question.
do-
You're only saying this because you believe that it's in line with what God says, right?
yeah, and I also want to note that the interesting thing about how the gospel came about, at least the one in the New Testament, the women were the primary witnesses to that event, which shows that there's a place for women. There always has been. And the closest a woman can get to equality or some level of parity and dignity is in marriage. And that's expressed in the Christian marriage because the roles are very clear. The man is supposed to DIE for his wife in all aspects to himself. And the woman is supposed to submit to her husband as Christ does the church. So, I mean, this is where the principle is derived from. But ultimately, feminists hate all patriarchies. They hate Christianity. They hate men in general. They pathologize them all the time. So, I mean, feminism is just it's just derived from Adam and Eve. And this is the last thing I'll say. I know I'm being ranting, but
No worries. So you would agree that if Christianity were to be proven false, this idea would collapse, right?
no, it wouldn't, because
No,
functionally,
it's-
through observations, we can still observe men who aren't Christians still having these patriarchal structures all throughout the planet. It's just that Christianity is acknowledging a reality that many other cultures have acknowledged. So you wouldn't need Christianity for that.
Yeah.
So you would say that
So
under
you
atheism,
don't need
any of this
Christianity
matters?
to understand the men have the monopoly on force.
You don't
That's
even need
not
a
like-
religion. You don't even need a religion.
right.
Okay,
It's
so
obvious things.
but you said this started with Adam and Eve.
Yeah, because that's how the Christian
just
renders
said it,
the
Christian.
story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did say that. What's your point?
Oh, okay, nice. So if we can disprove Christianity, where would you go with this? Like, how would you ground what you're saying?
I would ground it in reality still that men are that hold the monopoly on force. Men are the ones who decide how things go militarily and police. Because this is
But how would you prove that that's objectively true?
I would look at how most societies are
You
structured, and I would use
do not
I would use
bias?
it-
Who
I
says
would
that the
recognize-
structure's right, though? How do you know the
So-
structure's right?
So when you mean right, do you mean right versus wrong, or do you mean objectively true? What do you mean?
Objectively true.
So
That it
Okay,
ought
I
to be
would-
that way.
So I wouldn't. All right. So I would have to first acknowledge the which is the descriptive reality that men have patriarchies and they've existed as a majority of our society by probably 90%. And there's a reason for that. And the reason is, I wouldn't just say because it is that way, therefore it should. I would say things like, when it comes to that responsibility and that expectation on men, therefore you should have authority aligned with that. Because if you don't, you have injustices. You have unjust systems where men who don't have any authority are required to be responsible for things that they never had control over.
But who's to say that's unjust?
So-
Who's to
so
say that's
also-
unjust?
if
we
you
would
don't have-
collectively acknowledge it, and perhaps that would be a subjective argument I can make that we
Yeah, it also-
Okay, so it wouldn't be objectively
Also,
true.
if you do have
real quick.
Mm.
So objective truth is, do you even agree that it exists?
It's stance independent. Yeah, I agree it exists.
So the way we can often move towards acknowledging that is through a consensus of our arguments, perhaps. And I understand that that's subjective, but if we can all collectively come to having a model, proving the model, looking for predictions of that model, and then being proven correct about the assumptions or the predictions we make in the future about that model, this is how we can track our system to reality. Are you looking for something absolute? You likely can't find it, but you don't need absolute in order to functionally prove something to be real.
Yeah, well,
ultimately,
just
if
to
we
provide
didn't
an
have
analogy.
if we didn't have patriarchal societies, then we just get overrun by ones that are. So that's really literally what happens, right?
Well, just
So,
because you get overrun by ones that are, who's to say that they ought to overrun you? That's just begging the question.
Yeah,
That
and
may be true that they'll overrun you, but that doesn't mean it ought
yeah,
to
so
happen.
that's what I'm saying. You can't you don't want to be overrun by other ones, right? You're not trying to have that happen.
So what you want is the
it's
criteria
not-
now?
This guy, this is
I'm asking. You said you don't want to. Is your want the criteria now?
no. Look, the whole point is right. Is that a society can't exist without some type of enforcement mechanism protecting it. That's the whole point.
Yeah, who's to say the society ought to exist?
yeah. Well, at this point, we're just having a
Well,
different
now you
conversation. Have a
you
different conversation.
Exactly. We are.
Yeah.
That's why you
You
need
just
Christianity. That was my
lost
point from the
president.
beginning.
Okay, yeah, and I can understand that, and I can acknowledge that, and I can align with that. But for the topic of this discussion,
Okay, so you agree that you need Christianity.
I would agree with that.
Okay, so if Christianity were to be disproven, then all of this collapses, right?
So the argument, the normative arguments for that would have less proof, but in a world without Christianity, I mean, I could just force people to do stuff.
Yeah, but that would be wrong, right?
Chaos.
Forcing people to do stuff would be wrong.
I mean, if to some people,
Who told you it's right or wrong?
To some
if
people,
God
it would
doesn't
be.
exist.
No,
Who
I'm
told
saying
you it's
according
right
to
or
him
wrong?
right now. According to him right now, that would be wrong, no?
I suppose I get it, but for the point of
Okay,
this debate,
perfect.
so what would you like me to agree to, so we can just end this
Well,
argument? How would you
already
like
d-
me to lose?
Well, the way I'd like you to lose is just for me to present a logical argument which disproves Christianity, which you agreed you need. So just basically to reduce your position to
I'm
absurdum.
not interested because
Okay, so you can't answer. Okay, I got
it's
you.
because we're talking about descriptive realities, and those parts still stand. So if you're not convinced of my normative claims, I really don't give a shit.
Okay, no problem, man. So you don't give a shit that Christianity could be false.
No,
And
I don't
your
care
worldview
that
is
for the
false.
topic of the discussion, how far it's veering off of the dating advice. I'm not interested.
How's that veering off? It's a direct correlation. If Christianity's false,
how it's
this
not
prompt is false.
How it's not correlated is because we're talking about things of how things functionally exist. I could still make descriptive realities. The normative ones, I don't necessarily indulge.
Yeah, that's derivative from the truth value of Christianity, though. That's right behind it.
Yeah, so I'm
don't-
not interested, dude. So do
No-
you want to
no
talk about
problem,
anything
man.
else?
No, that's it. I'll drop. Take care.
All right, thanks for coming up, man. Appreciate it. I mean, if there is a time for me making a case for Christianity and how it's directly linked to the abolition of feminism, I think you would have a point here, but it's so far off topic.
I think I need dating advice, bro.
Who's that? Juan, or is that dude? Who's that?
That's dude.
Dude, all right. What? So everybody, for me giving advice, let's just not give advice. Let me do it. And if you guys want to chime in after, let's do that. Dude, is that okay with you?
Yeah.
All right. What's going on, dude?
Basically, I had a falling out with a girlfriend, and haven't been interested in relationships since, because it's like, I don't know if it's like traumatic or something like that, but for me, it feels like it was just bad, like just pretty bad.
How did things end up?
Like, it
What was
ended
the
up.
what was the climax
catalyst.
of the conclusion?
Yeah. it was an AB, basically.
Yeah, that's awful.
Basically that.
Awful.
Yeah, but I didn't really know how to process it, as an 18-year-old, it's just like I don't know. It's just like it I didn't even say that much about it. Like we didn't even talk to them.
Oh, I have this stupid alarm that comes off because I'm not. It says I'm inactive, but I'm listening. Yeah, not knowing how to process that's so. I try not to curse. That's very freaking wicked. A wicked situation. That's very heavy as hell. So, what led up to this? Was it some type of disagreement, or how did this play out?
Yeah, because she's a twin, and her twin sister is, or was, I don't know if she still is, but was dating her ex, and they used to hang out a lot, and I didn't like that. So she spent more time with her sister than me, really, and
Her
and
sister
around
and her ex.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And
wait,
like she
so,
won.
so her sister was dating her
Yes,
her
her
sister's.
twin sister. Her
So let me
twin
get this
sister.
straight. Let's just say
I can
I-
see you trying to throw out. Yeah, yeah.
that's crazy
You're good.
work. So the twin is dating the other twin's ex.
Yeah.
What the flip?
Um,
And they were hanging. Yeah, bro. That your judgment, your intuition was correct. Even if nothing's going on principle alone, the fact that it looks bad, the woman shouldn't even be doing something like that. If she cares about you, she would care about the position of you're standing with her, the reputation that you guys have outside and how it's perceived. She would care about these things. But the fact that she was like, oh no, was she like, oh no, I'm just gonna hang out with him anyway?
well, she was just like she just I don't like basically said I don't like him. Like basically that, like every time. Just
And how
I
long
don't
were you
like
guys
him.
together?
I want to say like 8 months maybe.
Was it obviously it was physically intimate, but
Yeah.
was that the first rocky road? Was that the first big contention, or were there other big contentions?
There was another big contention. It was that I didn't know that he was her ex, and that was my friend. But I didn't like.
Who hid it
we were
from
all
who?
hanging out. Huh?
Who hid it from who?
Who hid it? I would say they all, the twins and he hid it from me.
It sounds like either conspiring or like, I'm not trying to say they're evil, but how could they all collectively not tell you? It's kind of strange.
They didn't not tell me. They just didn't bring it up, and I didn't have anything to ask about that. I didn't know anything about it.
Do you think you would have been in a relationship with a woman long term if you would have known that?
No.
So it's rather convenient that she's putting you in a situation to where now that you built rapport and it gets sprung on you, now you have to make a decision based on you having a history and experience with her now. It's kind of, I would say it's convenient at the very least, but manipulative more likely. Because she could have told you. Because let's be real here. If you're hanging out with a friend, wait, did they do each other?
Okay, this is what I mean. I found out that mid relationship with her.
And they were intimate with each other physically.
Before, yes.
Yeah, I mean, it could be one thing if maybe they went on a couple of dates, but if they're bumping uglies and you don't know about it, and she's hanging out with him like a friend, oh, he's just a friend. Who used to be inside me and we used to be sweaty together. That is insane.
Yeah, you probably hit it raw too.
That's kind of not the tip of the iceberg. It's like the twins.
What is worse?
I found out. Okay, I found out.
Don't tell me there's been some threesomes going on.
So when I was finding out all this stuff, my other friend was telling me this stuff, and I was like, my mind was exploding. But basically, when she was with him, he was cheating on her with her twin, and going back and forth with the twins. And then I was like, wait, I asked the twins. I was like, you guys knew this? And they said, yeah.
So you're getting the sloppy seconds.
Kinda.
Well,
Kinda
let's try
thirds.
not to rag on. He's being vulnerable here. This is pretty effed up situation. All right. So they were, yeah. So before you even knew that that had a history, they were already cheating on each other with each other and having a triangle.
Not really like all together. Like
Well,
they
yeah,
like
okay, that's good.
the girls at first they didn't know, but then they found out and then they kept hanging out, basically.
All right. So
Like
this
they-
is getting.
Yeah,
You're likely
yeah.
going to know where this could lead. If left to its own device, you're likely to know where this could lead. If they're okay with it, it stands to reason that they like this is a freaky deaky radioactive relationship that they should have told you about, but the fact that they didn't is a pretty big sin against you. On whoever you knew personally enough. Like if that did you know the dude like that? You said this was your friend.
I knew him before them.
Bro, what the hell, man? What's up? All right, this is where I need to chastise you. How are you hang out with people who don't think that this is wrong?
I stopped hanging out with them like I would say like an easy. I stopped hanging out like an easy like month after. Like I just couldn't. I
Is this
couldn't come
somebody
to
that you're close to, or is this somebody you just?
Yeah, I was really close. I was really close at the time. I was like, I couldn't come to a decision to know what to do, and I was just like slowly faded out the mix. You know.
So
Just slowly
what
faded.
about you? What about you attracted a man in your group with low integrity? Because this is some slimy, sneaky shit. This is something I would likely fight over. I would go to fists for. I would probably put hands on somebody. So I'm not saying that that's right, but what about you as attracting men of low moral character?
I mean, I don't like. Like, why was I friends with them?
Yeah, because how could you not see? And this isn't to say that you're going to be good and have a high accuracy to tell, but don't you kind of see that as like somewhere you can take responsibility here? Is like, man, I should have picked a better friend. How can I pick one in the future? And then what did I do in the past that kind of let him slip through the class? This is kind of like this is a betrayal. This is some backstabbing. This is a backstabbing friend.
What I did was basically in that month before I like faded out the mix, I was like kind of forgiving. Like I was just like, oh no, I'm not mad. Like I don't know. I was being incongruent. Like I was not being honest. I was just.
Well, you don't necessarily have to be mad, and you can still do what's right, which is cut this guy off like a metastasizing tumor that he is. But I'm saying, I mean, is this type of dude, does this guy sleep around? Is this guy like just sleep with random women? Or is he like a church boy?
He was actually, so when I knew him before I knew the sisters and all that, like we were hanging out and all that, like I don't know, I don't really remember, it was like a long time ago, but he actually slept with another girl that the twins love and the twins hang out with.
So he just likes to bang people in the friend group, basically.
He's not just fucking the twins, he's fucking you metaphorically.
Well,
not me metaphorically.
Let's keep the commentary low, especially if it's just going to be jabs. Because remember, this is a situation that's pretty freaking awful. We're talking about betrayal here. Hell, this is debilitating. This is something that can make someone question having people around them closely. This can make people question love in the future. This is a high stakes conversation, is what I'm saying. So try and keep the commentary productive here. Now, so you already knew this was the type of dude you just or friends of friends.
Kind of, yeah.
Is he an honest person? Would you say that he's a upstanding citizen? Does he have good standing with his relationships?
I would say confidently, absolutely not. With
All right. So
mother,
how long
father.
have you know this?
How long have I known his relationship with this?
How did you know his type of character he was?
I mean, we were like, I was like a year older than him.
At what age?
We were in high school. And I was 15, I think he was 14.
All right. Well, that makes more sense, and we'll give you some more grace there. But that's still a blind spot you can acknowledge. You think in the future that you're going to pick better friends?
Well, I mean, this dude was like, he was like me, kind of like we used to like break stuff in school. I don't know. It was.
So you were hanging around. Birds of a feather flock together. Were you banging everybody too?
No, but it was different before the girls. Like I swear, it was like, I don't know. Like once the girls showed up, like I don't know. It was like, I don't really know how to explain it. We stopped hanging out as much.
Okay. Hey, Chaotic, I see you requested up. I'm just gonna finish this conversation. I'm not sure how long it's gonna take, but it's gonna need some freaking cross-examining here. Now, the reason I bring this up is because part of my advice that I would give you is this is the type of relationship I will have with my friends, girls. I might not even know what they look like. I'm not interested in having conversation with them outside of when I'm with my friend, if he's there. But if he's not, I don't have her Instagram. I don't have her phone number. I mean, perhaps for emergencies, but I'm not saving it. I'm not interested in contacting this woman. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Is that the type of man this dude would have been? Or would he be the type of person, hey, I saw your girl's stories, or hey, I was hanging out with your girl. That's the type of dude, right?
Implicitly, like he wouldn't say it, but like I would like see them.
Right. So this is not a man of high moral character because he's desperate. Men who are desperate tend to do things very they tend to be sleazy. For example, a desperate man is likely to break up a marriage because he desperately wants to have intercourse. Some men can't. I've noticed there's men who just can't keep their wiener in their pants, and they can't sleep. They can't help but sleep where they eat. They just can't help it. Like they need to F people in the friend group. They need to do all this. Why not just, this is one of the reasons why men and women can't be friends. One of the reasons why. So another thing I'll explain is you probably want to start hanging around men who don't want to hang around women unless they want to have relationships with them. You should not be the type of person who hangs out with men who have a lot of female friends because you can't trust those men. And that's not to say absolutely, but on a balance of probabilities and principally. Do you have friends? Do you have a lot of female friends, or any?
I would say no.
So the thing about having friends with females is there's a unspoken thing like what you saw happen and blow up in your situation. The men are often waiting in the bushes of the friendship, waiting for her to slip into the bed so that he can sleep with her. And the woman is basically using the man as a boyfriend without any of the intimacy trappings, right? The kissing, the hugging, and the intercourse. But she still gets a shoulder to cry on, someone to a masculine role advisor, someone to protect her at the club when they go to the club. She still benefits from this man. So the relationship is really not a friendship. It's completely transactional and toxic. But you shouldn't be friends with women generally. I'm just giving you more advice because I'm trying to patch up some of the holes that would have prevented this from happening. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's good.
Now, being an acquaintance with a woman, seeing her in passing, being like let's just say I know some girls who I chat with online, but it's strictly business, only regarding my prompt, the panel. It has nothing personal. You shouldn't hang out with women who have a lot of. You should never date a woman who has a lot of male friends, and women who don't think having a male friend is a problem. You should stay away from those women. No, it's not just because we're trying to prevent what happened in the past, because we're not afraid of it happening. We're just acknowledging the danger and what God is showing us to learn things one time and not have to learn it again. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if you're looking for a woman, as I didn't mean to step ahead of the advice you're asking. Is that what you're asking? How to look for a
No.
woman, or
Yeah,
what are you asking?
Basically, the aftermath is how to look for a woman. Yeah.
How long has it been since you've been out of this relationship?
I think it was like October.
Okay, so about 8 months from now, 8 months in the past.
Yeah.
Are you over it? How does your heart feel, and your emotions, and your back,
Like
your proverbial back from being stabbed?
I don't know.
You don't know, so you're not.
I don't know. I don't feel good about it. Like I don't
Yeah.
feel good about it.
You're gonna need a bit more time. I would say 4 to 6 more months of just no dating. Just you need to start developing more of your time with yourself, not just being avoidant, but being intentional about how you spend time with yourself. Are you Christian?
Yeah.
So this is the perfect time to develop your relationship with God even further. Because in the past, my relationships failed because I wasn't trying to do things how God wanted me. So we all know when we play this game called outside of marriage, fornication, we're basically playing Russian roulette with our heart, our wieners, and like our flesh, right?
Yep.
So this is what happens. Like, if this could have all been avoided, if you would have just said, you know what, I'm not going to sleep with this lady until I really get to know her, and then I feel like I want to marry her. Let's just say let's just say it would have took you a year to marry her. You would have found out. When did you find out that she was doing all this? Month 7?
Month like 6. I'm not gonna say 7. Yeah, 6.
So if you were vetting her properly for marriage, you would have figured this out. It stands to reason.
Yeah.
So vetting a woman and getting ready to marry her is how God wants us to do things. But if we don't, then we're basically setting ourselves up for the devil to come in. And the devil came in the relationship firstly through fornication. So if you can look for a woman who's going to stand strong and not doing that in the future, this would be your best case scenario. Does that make sense? She's not
Yeah.
going to want to wait till marriage. So a woman who's not going to be having a lot of dudes hanging around her, who's not going to be confiding in men that she's not in a relationship with. You don't want a woman who's going to be like this. She uses men, she's going to use you. It stands to reason. She was using the dude as a sexual springboard, emotional support likely. She's using you because it's convenient for her in the relationship. You get what I'm saying? How it makes sense she's going to use other people because she uses people. That's a pattern. She didn't take your relationship seriously. You want to look for a woman who does, who understands not just how you feel, but the position, the office of a boyfriend, the office of a husband. You want to look for a woman who their principles extend beyond how you feel about it, but it's what they believe to be right and wrong. And these women who have these convictions are likely to be Christian, and especially because it adheres to your set of values. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So here's a good thing, dude. Well, look, don't ever date a feminist. Was this chick a feminist?
I wouldn't even doubt it.
Well, here's
honestly.
the thing. A woman who's a feminist is always going to hold, and she's going to lord her bodily autonomy over you as a reason to X the baby out. Isn't that the most evil thing? That if a woman in this world, a man has no recourse. If a woman doesn't want to have the kid's effectively finito, right?
Yeah.
Women who are more likely to do that are women who agree with this feminist cancerous ideology. This is why I say never date you'd be surprised to know that a lot of my friends have dealt with abortion in this way, where women use it over them, and they use it as a bargaining chip, or it's how the relationship gets ended. Don't ever go back to this chick because she's a murderer. I'm not sure if you can say that on TikTok. I just got banned last week. Don't ever be with a chick who's like this because she thinks that MURDER is justified. This is wicked. You know what I'm saying?
Amen.
It's like this. All right, so try not to rant. So here's the practical steps. 4 to 6 months. You're going to gauge where you're at after that, but you're just going to be walking with God. You're going to be doing your hobbies. You're going to be productive. You're not going to be dicking around too much in gaming or alcohol. You're going to be intentional. You're going to be setting your minds on things that are just, true, righteousness, fruits of the Spirit. This is what you're going to be focusing on. Because right now you need to be rebuilt. Your mind needs to be renewed. The wellspring that comes from God, the Bible, is here for you. It's here to replenish you, refresh you, to exhort you, to build you up. This is what you need right now in the 4 to 6 months. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah.
Proverbs, Psalms. Proverbs being a practical book, Psalms being a way that you can vent and you can identify with venting, how David used to vent with God. If you have these frustrations, these pains about what happened, or other scenarios, this is your time where you need to break down and you need to be vulnerable with God. Because there is a silver lining. You can learn from this. That's the silver lining. I would never say that the death of your potential son or daughter is... I'm not sure how that impacts you, but this is a very, very hard lesson to learn. But is it not a lesson?
It is a lesson, yeah.
So, did you have any other questions or anything else you wanted to add?
No, that was it.
Yeah, man.
I really appreciate being here, though.
Dude, no problem, man. And what's your name? My name is James. I'm not sure if you want to disclose it.
Yeah, I'm Jules.
Jules, thanks for coming up, man. Hit me up with a PM. I'd like to know how you're doing in the next 4 to 6 months.
Got you. Thank you, man.
All right. You're welcome.
God bless you.
God bless, man. Oh, shit's heavy as hell, dude. Okay, so Chaotic. Let's let Chaotic up. Chaotic, thanks for coming up.
Thank you for having me.
I think I remember you from last time. I forgot your age, Chaotic.
I'm 24.
Thanks for coming up. The floor is open. Anyone can mention anything.
Are they both anti-feminists?
I'm not sure. Are you a feminist, ma'am?
Hell no.
Shout out to you. Let's let Tutu. Why are you spelling your name twice? Tutu, what's going on?
What's up?
What's your age, Tutu?
I'm 18.
What brings you up today?
Honestly, that prompt just caught my eye.
I feel you.
And I see that there's like a lot of anti-feminists. Like, so you know the definition of feminist, right?
Yeah, the promotion of egalitarianism amongst the sexes with the movement towards away from the patriarchy.
Okay.
Yeah, their entire message is oxymoronic to their actions.
The feminists?
Well, before we get on our neck, what's the question? Perhaps you were leading with the question.
Honestly, I don't have a question. Well, I just want to know.
Well,
like,
attack on, Chaotic. What do you want to know? What do you want to know, Tutu?
No, I just want to know like your guys' stance. Like, I just want to see like the other side and like get a better understanding of what you guys believe in.
Nice. Okay.
I'm a realist. Like I don't let people get by with lying if I know that like the facts. And if I see or sniff out some can I curse on here?
Yeah, just try and be TOS friendly.
Okay. If I see
just
some
don't say the
bullshit,
R word.
I'll
I
call it
got
out.
freaking banned last time for the R word.
Oh, no.
RETARD.
I run lives too, so I get it.
Okay.
So
you see a lot of BS.
Yeah, and I mean To be honest, it seems like it boils down to just the reproductive rights. And every time I pose my argument of men having also the right to paper ABs, like they don't agree with that. And the whole letting in trans women thing, how are you going to let a man in a dress call himself you, even though that's everything that they fought against?
No, real quick, I want to pause. I just got flagged. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because I spelled the word out. I'd appreciate everybody if I could get a couple of likes. If we get the likes to a 3K, I'd appreciate it. But continue.
Tap that screen.
Appreciate all the support, guys. So here's the thing. James, can Dolly speak? She's been waiting for a while. Yes, Dolly, I didn't mean to deprive you, and I apologize if I didn't introduce you, Dolly.
No, that's cool.
Dolly, what is your age? Did I ask you already?
No. I just kind of joined. I've been sitting here, but I'm 19.
All right, thanks for coming up. Dolly, you've been prompted on the chat. Kit wants to hear you, and he's completely disregarded Chaotic's. Chaotic was going somewhere, but Kit was like, Dolly needs to speak now.
Yeah, I agree with Chaotic, and I also I wanted to ask you what is considered feminism and what is considered anti-feminism to you? Because I feel like
I'm anti-feminist movement. The roots of the movement are they're not for women of color whatsoever. I can't repeat one of the quotes that are by one of the what would you call them, foremothers?
Which one
of the movement?
Kate Millett. She's a quack.
I believe so.
Yeah, Kate Millett's an effing quack.
And not to mention Margaret Sanger and her,
right.
eugenics.
Yeah, Margaret Sanger for sure.
Yeah.
Are you familiar
it gets to a point.
Go
I
ahead.
feel feminism, like I've said multiple times, it was a good idea. It is a good thing to, certain things that are necessary. People are talking about, women shouldn't be able to vote with anti-feminist, etc.
Yeah.
I'm not, I feel like it gets to a point and it's extreme on either end, depending on where you lean. But that's why I asked, what is feminism and what is anti-feminism to you? Because I feel like we've gotten so feminist, the movement has gone so far to the point where we see men as women. We've been so open-minded and so to the point our brains are falling out. It's ridiculous.
Too open. Yeah, they tolerate too much and they accept too much. And I mean, it's the people that they're accepting into this movement and saying, oh yeah, trans women are women, even though they're not. You're completely invalidating your entire movement.
Yeah. Even as a feminist, I feel like with the trans woman, I feel like I'm not against it, but I feel like it should be its own category. We shouldn't say trans women or women.
Yeah, and that's where we can find commonality. But then again, they would call you a TERF.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
This is
you can't win. You can't.
Yeah,
win.
feminists tend to eat their own if they don't follow the strict, rigid rules.
Yeah, I don't believe in that strict whatever thing that they got going on. I have my own little ways. I was just on Instagram and I seen a video of a trans athlete in a volleyball game and they knocked the girl out with the ball. And I'm
shocker. Shocker.
Now, is this
extreme? And then there was a wrestling match. A man that was competing in women's wrestling in high school oil checked the girl and she's suing the guy that was competing.
Yeah, I would too.
I hope she wins. I hope she wins.
Yeah.
But I do want to say I do kind of I find a guilty pleasure in women being punished by other men, not because I think the feminist women, because they're just eating the fruit of their own way in reality. If they want to reject,
I was about to say, wait, okay, hold on. What is he about to say? But then, okay, look.
Yeah, well, no, it's because
I got a little
they
scared
want to
for a
say that
second.
they're equal. You want to say that you're equal to a man, then okay. And you think some of them think it's okay to put their hands and stuff on a man, and for And that's okay. They just get away with it. But when that man reacts back and protects himself, then it's call the cops. Then the
I think
Duluth model comes in.
I think there's different on both sides. I think there's a
Yeah, I
different
messed up.
definition of equality. You know, on one side, I think equality is we're treated the same, and then on the other side, equality is like there's no distinction, and that's the problem. The no distinction part is
Equally
where
the
you
same
kind of
versus no
lose me.
distinction.
I'm sorry?
Equally the same versus no distinction.
Right, so
Mm.
like equal as in treated the same via whatever, like jobs, sports, etc. But then no distinction would be like everything a man is, a woman also is, and like, you know what I mean? Like it's just, but I disagree with those things.
Well, I do have a question for you, but I wanted to introduce Adarin Sola.
Adrian?
Yeah, good enough. Hi, I'm actually a feminist, so I was curious as to what your talking points are when it comes to the subject of feminism and why you're so against it, and even the other girls who are on this
Live.
TikTok live,
Okay.
and why they're against it as well.
Well,
Well, I
before we
will
get into
too.
that, I wanted to ask about this whole equality and equality versus no distinction, because to me, they sound one and the same to me. Equality versus no distinction, because if you have egalitarianism and people who take that principle to its logical end, wouldn't that lead to no distinction?
Yeah, which is why I said, I feel like if there's extremes on both sides and on either side, it just depends on where you lean. I said that a little bit earlier.
But wouldn't it just be a matter of perhaps interpretations of the principles? Because
Yeah,
one could argue that they're just maybe not extreme, but taking the principles seriously. If there
yeah,
is no distinction between men and women, and we want to foist that on society, then what they're doing is consistent with that. It's not like it might
that's
be a
what feminism
reasonable.
is today. Not
It,
in general, but today. Yeah.
it might be unreasonable in its effect, but the principles, I wouldn't say it's like extreme, because I think when you say it's extreme, what it does is it makes feminism not appear as extreme as it is in reality. I think the entire thing is extreme because it's not reasonable principally.
Um. So, okay. So
Can I
you
ask
guys?
the feminist? Oh, sorry.
Oh no, you got it. What is it?
I was just gonna ask the feminists on the panel, like, what exactly do you feel that you are fighting for today? What rights do we not have that men have?
Now, I live in America, and I would
Right.
say, yeah, okay. I live in America, and I say, like, compared to how women are treated in America, compared when comparing to how women are treated, let's say in like the Middle East, I am a firm believer that no woman's free until all women are free. So, in that regard, I'm more of a feminist and advocating for women abroad.
Yes.
Yes, but I also, when it comes to like how women are treated in, I say, the western part of the globe, I would say that it is better than it was 50 years ago. I would definitely say that. But I would also say when it comes to our society as a whole today, there are still elements of deep misogyny rooted in the way we interact with each other when it comes to men men interacting with women and women interacting with themselves and vice versa. So I just, even though it's not like the biggest deal in the world to some people, sometimes it just kind of bothers me, and I'm just like, let's unpack this. Let's see why we think this way. Maybe we can, undo some of that. You know what I mean?
I
What
hear
other
you, but
than
I feel like that's like not actually like
yeah, it's not.
like it's okay when you say like women abroad, right? In the in the East, etc. I hear you. Like a lot of women don't have as many rights as we do in the U.S., but I think we're specifically focusing on the U.S. I would
Okay.
agree with you. Like there's like women in Afghanistan, etc. I think that stuff is awful. But I think for the sake of the argument, we're talking about in the U.S. specifically when she asked you, like, what rights are you fighting for? And then when you said misogyny, that's like rooted into society. If it's not actually preventing anything and it's more so just like opinions, then there's actually no like problem. There's actually no. It's the same. Like I'm a woman of color. You know, I'm a woman of color, right? So I'm brown. The same thing with like racism. Like if it's not systematic and it's more just like an opinion of somebody has on like specific, then it's not actually affecting like anything. Like they can't actually do anything law wise. They can't actually do anything systematically. It's more that person is just a piece of crap, right? So I don't really think that.
The only rebuttal I have to that is that every problem that's ever occurred always started with an idea or an opinion. So when I say like when someone brings up an opinion, let's say they bring up an opinion that has to do with eugenics or like something like that,
Right.
I would say
Yeah.
it's a good thing to call that out because again, you never know, that person could somehow attain a lot of power and screw us all over. So I would just say,
Yeah, like
yeah,
Robert
it's not
Taylor.
affecting us now, but every problem that's ever happened started with an idea or opinion. So that's
I
all
agree,
I
but
can
I
say.
don't really see that happening, especially not anymore in America. I think we have enough like feminists to save the world, you know what I mean? But I just think it's gotten
Not
I think
even.
it's
I
I think it's
just.
gotten to a point like it's gotten so like out of hand. Like it's gotten like super out of hand. I agree that fighting for other women that aren't as fortunate, that's fantastic, but like applying that to America where it's not really happening and we have like every freedom that a man does.
I think
Period,
it's also
like, I
has
know.
to do with like the ideology of just keeping it that way.
What do you mean keeping it that way?
What did you say?
Like
I'm sorry.
keeping it that way to where like we do have the same rights as men. Like they are still trying to attack our rights to vote. Like
That is true. That is
they
true.
still can take it.
That's
Oh,
true.
God.
Now, regarding the thing about we need to kind of keep sounding the alarm on things on bad ideas that Aderin, is it Aderin? Or is it Darren Sola? How do you pronounce your name?
Yeah, that was the second one. Yeah, second
Darren
one.
Sola. All right. So you were mentioning how we have to continuously sound the alarm. Can you see how this would start to become a cry wolf scenario where things that are supposed problems in reality aren't, and then you're only diluting your movement by being incessant with pointing things out?
Mm-hmm. And I'm just, what are you, other
let's
than
see.
advocating, what are you going to do for those women in
Let's see what
Afghanistan?
Aderin Sola thinks about that question. Can you see how you can create a cry wolf scenario? The boy who
What do
cried
you
wolf.
mean? Cry wolf scenario.
Are you familiar with the story, The Boy Who Cried Wolf?
Yeah, yes.
So
Yes, I am.
if we're constantly being taught to say, look, there's danger, there's a toxic masculinity here, there's a microaggression there, there's a pipeline here and there, and then people are like, what are you talking about? Can you see how this can become? If you're explaining that, we need to sound the alarm on all these bad ideas. If more of those bad ideas are in fact reasonable ideas, can you see how this can make people not like feminism?
Well, no,
No.
because if someone's having a bad idea and you call that out, then like it's a bad. I don't understand. Like,
Okay, I'll give you an example. Toxic masculinity.
okay,
Let's just say, as a man, the way I understand toxic masculinity is it's traits that men were brought to be that are inherently negative. Like, don't show your emotion. In reality, I was looking at a Pew study where they mentioned two things. This is done in 2025. That one, when they looked at the difference between genders on how they perceive loneliness, there's effectively no perceived difference. Men don't have a more negative effect or negative perception of loneliness than women. So this whole male loneliness thing starts to become brought into question. That's the first point. The second point is women on average tend to lean on their support systems more than men. This will be from 20 percentile to 30 to 50 percentile. 50% more likely to rely on their parents, a group of friends. The other one would be a therapist, how women are always insisting that men need to start doing therapy. The reason why I bring this up is because if women are insisting that men need to open up more, could it not just be their own assumptions of equality? If I'm doing a thing and I'm the woman, you should do the same thing too. Can you see how this can become unreasonable? And you're saying I'm bad and I'm toxic for not expressing my emotions, but I'm not built the same. So you're effectively pointing to a boogeyman that's not real.
Okay,
have a
so
question.
can I address that point? I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to address that point. Okay, so first of all, I would say that you're completely wrong, just because when it comes to men and expressing their emotions, that men are capable of expressing their emotions, right? People, I feel like anti-feminists try to bring up this idea that men and women are almost completely different species. I'm
We're not.
exaggerating, but
Right,
that's
right,
what
right.
I'm hearing.
Uh-huh.
They're not, right? We're all human. We're all capable of expressing emotions. However, the structure of the patriarchy teaches men that their emotions equal bad. The only emotion they're allowed to express is like maybe anger, and probably only anger, right? So I honestly think that men are capable of expressing their emotions, and we should be encouraging men to express their emotions more. And I do think that we are progressing towards a era where men are allowed to do that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so progressing would be based on your perspective. And I want to see if you want to engage with this. If the idea of progression is having institutions in academia come up with terminologies that pathologize male traits, calling it toxic, how is that progress?
Well, it's not inherently, it's not male traits. It's traits that were indoctrinated towards men because of some
Because of a
systems.
patriarchal system. Okay,
Yeah.
so all right, so I'll give you a instinct that a man can have that would make sense reasonably and biologically. We as humans, where we can agree, we all have selfish intent, right? That's where we can be equal, right?
Yeah.
But our selfish intent oftentimes aligns with our roles that we have in society, but not just in society, biologically. For example, a woman is likely to be more sexually selective because she has a bigger risk of a failed relationship. She has a child that she must deal with. This is a biological fact, right? Because that's the case, there's going to be a different set of expectations and strategies that go along with that are informed by their biological reality. So this is not something someone had to teach you. You know that you're going to have a kid. You know if you have, you're going to have a kid. So that is a biological reality that your incentive structure maps around. That's not a social construction that was forced on you by someone. You and I agree that we don't need to be socialized to care about ourselves. We eat food. We make sure we breathe. We're not making sure other people breathe unless we have kids, right? These are not social constructions like someone on CBS taught you this. These are biologically informed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I agree.
So when you're saying that certain traits that men do are toxic because it's based on the social construction, the patriarchy, you're disregarding the possibility that these are biologically informed.
But they're not.
So I expressed one that how it is as on the female side, and I'll explain another one on the male side. Men cannot biologically, ever since the social institution of DNA testing, a social construction, the idea of DNA testing, and it's starting in the 80s. Men had no way of knowing a kid was theirs. Is it a part of my biology to want to know if a kid is mine? Well, anthropology would say yes. Anthropology would say that a man's incentive to ensure his own paternity is consistent throughout all of male societies, regardless of the social construction, which would imply it's a biological thing. It would make sense because if you and I agreed that we have a biological incentive to think about ourselves, not just ourselves, but the extension of ourselves, the family, the children, it would make sense biologically why a man would not want to sire a kid that's not his, right?
Oh, yeah.
This is a biologically informed incentive. So that doesn't need that you don't need to have a social constructions if if the anthropologist can acknowledge that it exists throughout all societies where it's male and female dynamic. So I'm explaining to you something that a feminist would call toxic and part of the patriarchy, but this is just how men perceive and this is how men process their feelings. So this is how I'm explaining to you that men's feelings are being pathologized. And the women who are crying wolf are effectively saying, hey, this trait that you have, oh, it's just a social construction. You need to get over it or else you're toxic. This is how women are actually participating institutionally as feminists in misandry.
That was a lot. I'm
yeah, that was that was a whole paper.
Well,
Okay,
you can
so
attack any point you'd like.
So what I'm understanding from what you're telling me is that men's innate biological desire to keep their lineage within their own, I guess,
Their own DNA.
yeah, within their own DNA is biologically innate to them, and women are disregarding that.
Well,
Is that what you're
it's a
saying?
unique thing that women don't have. A woman will always know who the kid is because it pops out of her. A man can
Right.
never always know that.
Right. Oh, and you're saying that since men have the desire to know who their child is, and women are disregarding that. So, and
The feminists are.
Oh, feminists. Okay, I would also have to disagree on that, at least, and from my perspective, I would have to disagree on that. I don't think feminists are at least doing that. I
What is toxic masculinity, if not a part of that, a big part of that?
think the
Remember, a
concern-
man is processing his emotions. He's just not doing it in a way that the woman likes.
Yeah, I just think that's the concern of. I feel like the way men approach that throughout historically was to control women's bodies in that regard of who they slept with and who they engaged with, because again, like you said, there was no way of men telling whose kid. There was no way of men figuring out whose kid was whose, right? So they'd have to keep women with one partner, so they at least know, okay, I slept with this woman, so this kid's mine. But I just don't understand. I feel like you're arguing through the point of you don't want women to have sexual liberation because there's a concern that you might not know if a woman has a child, you might not know if that kid is theirs. But I also do think that it's on the woman to at least be able to know who they're sleeping with and keep track of their sexual partners so that doesn't happen. But I just I don't understand how that correlates with, I don't know.
How that correlates
Yeah,
with
it kind of threw me off too.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question. So
yeah.
Well, honestly, it's for the anti-feminists because I want to know, like, in the perfect anti-feminist world, how would society be ran?
I mean, it would run
Women are
exactly the
replaced
same.
by AI.
The same exact way?
Yeah,
And
I
this is
don't
where-
believe
this is where Cedric
feminism
breaks the
is
silence.
needed at all.
Did you
In
just say women are
today's day
replaced
and
by AI?
in today's day and time, obviously, well, I don't believe voting is a inherent right; it's a privilege. But yeah, I don't believe it's needed in today's time. We have the upper hand in divorce court. We have the upper hand in family court. We can take away a man's complete life and livelihood just by our mouth.
So, okay, so let me get it straight. So, anti-feminist is you guys want to stop feminists where it is, or it's you guys believe that we should kind of go backwards in a way?
They will eventually revert
I'm
back.
trying to kind of understand
perhaps,
what anti-feminist really means.
Well, I'm the host here.
elaborate
I
on
have
that?
some lovely people who support, but we might not share the same perspectives on how the future looks. So you guys can talk about it. I can mention if needed my perspective.
Yeah, for sure.
But for the anti-feminist, sorry, do you believe that feminists should stop where it is, or do you believe that we should go back to more traditional values?
I think we should go back to
100
what
years.
feminism actually was in the beginning before it got out of hand, like making things equal, which is what we've done, and now it's just like OD. Like I think.
Well,
I don't know,
perhaps is that Dolly?
Yeah.
Dolly, you sound to me to be a feminist with grievances of other feminists. Would you consider yourself a feminist? First wave?
Like,
First wave being suffrage, generally.
yeah, I would. Yeah, I guess so.
So you're first wave. What about second wave, which is trying to make women have equal representation in legal and working environment?
Okay, so, well, are there, like, is there one of you that do think we should go back to just traditional values, or
Me.
you guys? Oh, okay.
The whitest one.
Okay, so
Did you say the whitest one?
Well, I'm misidentifying myself. But yeah.
Okay, bye. I'm dead.
I am curious though. Are you
okay,
biracial?
so
Yeah, I'm black.
Same.
I think he's just like he's black, but he's like,
I have
traditional
albinism. I have albinism.
yeah.
can you tell me what you mean by like traditional values? Like, what does that mean to you? I want you to answer
So
that question.
who's you?
Me or him?
The host.
My name is James. My apologies.
Okay,
so
sorry, James.
No problem. So when it comes to traditional, it would just be more patriarchal, and that would be the antithesis to what feminists want. If I want more patriarchy, and the feminists want less, then I would just say the more societies are patriarchal, specifically here in the West. I ain't talking about no jihad stuff, how it is in the Middle East.
I'm dead.
But how it is here in the West, the patriarchal societies, where you got chivalry, where you got men paying for the first date, getting down on one knee, treating women as the fairer sex. This would I would argue a benevolent patriarchy.
Yeah, chivalry whenever unalive. And the feminists are really making it hard for men to even want to be chivalrous in the first place. I personally, I hold traditional dynamics in my marriage. That's what works for me.
Period.
However, I do see a lot on this app where it's the trad lifestyle is ridiculously romanticized. And I don't think it's a one size fits all. Not every man is going to be able to handle that type of responsibility, and not every woman is going to be able to handle that type of responsibility. It's not a competition, it is a partnership. If you run it like a competition, your marriage will crumble and fail.
Period.
Yeah, in both relationships and society, women should be 2/3 of a man.
Okay, shut
Well,
up.
Cedric is trying to stoke the frame. Cedric is trying to stoke the flames of disagreement. But if I could just distill or dilute his message, it would be that women in society would be better if they're submitting to their husband, and if men are generally have more power politically than women. Now, I want to preface that by saying that women still had plenty of power politically before suffrage, abolition, and child labor laws being one or two of the things that they were able to pass before they had the right to vote. So women still could move politically. They just wouldn't have the same responsibility as men when it comes to fighting the wars, which is why they shouldn't particularly be able to decide how the society goes by voting.
Right, but back then we needed women to reproduce, but now
We
we're
still need them.
overpopulated.
No, we're
You
not.
still
No, we're
need
not.
that?
We're not. We have a birth rate
I don't-
crisis here in the West. We're at 1.7, probably less in the West. In America, we need to be at 2.1
But okay.
2.1 for what?
Have you ever thought
to have a
about
society, that American society that reproduces itself.
maybe women just don't want to have children anymore? Maybe like they just
That's cool. That's
Well,
fine.
I'll be honest with you. This is how you mentioned what happens from here, and where does this go? Well, the best thing about feminism is you guys don't like reproducing yourself, so
yes.
you eventually won't be able to outproduce the third world and the more or the societies that are migrating here that are not feminist, that don't share those values. That's one thing. You're going to get overpopulated by them, and then even the conservatives are going to outproduce you guys
Well,
too.
I would agree with that. I definitely agree with that.
But those are both conservative populations.
But I would say I feel like I would bring in the aspects of like indoctrination and religion, teaching these women that the only value they have is reproducing, and
Yes.
Well,
I
that's
feel like
true.
Well, I
I
mean, I'm a
just don't
Luciferian and I
get
don't.
like why men like you bring up chivalry, but I don't get why men can't be chivalrous but also not objectify and see women as property. Because you
What?
bring
What
up
else are
traditional
they?
values,
What?
So
but you
property.
also back
Okay.
but
What-
back
Let her talk.
Yeah,
then
yeah, you're right.
but
Let's
back
give
What-
the feminist. Let's give her more airtime because she's a dissenter. She's a minority as well, along with
what?
not
True,
a
true,
minority.
true.
Not I ain't talking
Just
about
on the
I ain't
panel,
talking about
on
no
the panel,
DEI.
keep
I'm
in
talking about
mind.
like proportionally. There's 2 feminists on the panel, and there's 3 to 4 non-feminists. So let's
There's
give the
2 feminists on it. Who's the other
Who is
feminist?
Dolly.
Yeah,
Dolly is
two,
a feminist
Adrian.
that needs some exorcism from feminism.
Dolly?
She needs to have the
Yeah.
feminism exercise out of her.
Oh.
She's more on
Okay.
the cusp, on the fence. But Tutu and Darren
Exorcism.
Sola,
Yeah.
Sola and Tutu are more the staunch minority position. So let's give them more airtime. Tutu, you're asking a question.
Oh no, I forgot. Y'all can continue.
I'm interested to hear the feminist perspectives on like traditional gender roles.
Oh no, I agree.
I
'Cause-
don't agree with that we should tell women. Let me finish, please. I don't agree that we should tell women from a young age that that's what they are to be. I think that we should give them the option. We should give them the choice. We shouldn't tell them like right off the
Yeah.
bat, you are to be a mother. You are to submit to your husband when you're older. Like, no, I just don't agree with
So
that.
okay,
Give
let me
them
clean
enough
that
time
up.
to make the choice as well.
I gotta clean that up.
Not like say you not make them aware of the choice, but say, oh, you have to make the choice at age 19. Like give
Yeah,
give
I
women
also
time,
think
enough
that's
time for the brain
ridiculous.
to develop to make the choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I agree to a certain extent because I'm not gonna infantilize a 19-year-old. I know they're, young and still and everything, but at the end of the day, they're still legally an adult. They have to be responsible, and you should be starting to kind of get an idea of what you do want in life, so that you're not playing catch up. As far as
Catch up for
the
what?
playing catch up, like where you're 40 years old wanting to get married and now you're 40 years old, you pose a
what's wrong
higher
with
risk
that?
for having a geriatric pregnancy and
what-
having a child with Down syndrome.
Yeah, you
Like,
could just surrogate at that point.
Okay. I don't
why
think
would
that's gonna happen.
yes, you have a higher chance of that. Not saying it's an end all be all or an absolute. It's a higher chance.
But
Okay.
also, women are an expendable resource.
Well, so are men. We're all expendable at the end of the day, but women are less expendable because women are the producers of life. They're the only ones capable of breastfeeding. Now, granted, it takes 2, but women are specifically, they have more of a design to be a mother than men do. So we should allow for we should allow for them to specialize in that. We should encourage that, because if we don't, we have a birth rate crisis. I mean, wherever
No, we
feminism,
don't have mothers anymore. We don't have mothers, and we don't have
who
breastfeeding.
can get shit done.
wherever
Yeah,
feminism
we
is
don't have
introduced, you have a
Interesting.
birth
Oh,
rate
yeah.
crisis. I'm not saying that's not saying by that alone
We
it's
should
causal.
who's this new
Because
person?
women will have children, but then what after that? They're useless.
No,
Yo.
here's
Are you okay? Then get a boyfriend, I
Right.
guess.
all right. So here's where I would
Go
push
back on
back.
mute.
Where I would push back on that is, someone posed a question to me the other day about what about the women who serve their function after that? Well, they're in the past and in a lot of societies, the matriarchs were old. They've already been there, done that. They were there to enculturate the next generation. And that's where they had a lot of power. But feminists want to deny them of their birthright. One, to become a mother, and then after she's a maiden, to become a mother, and then I think it's a maiden after that, like a wise woman, a lady who's respected in her knitting or her book community, because she has all this experience from motherhood and grandmotherhood, but she can pass that wisdom on.
Dude, Yes, the grandmothers that are actually good grandmothers and raise their children and are the village. They are the village. They are
But
what holds up the family structure.
that's also
And
old-fashioned. You don't need a wise grandmother when you have ChatGPT.
Yeah, so
ChatGPT
regarding
can't watch my
allowing,
kids.
yeah, allowing
when I
Peter,
want it to burn.
allowing Peter Thiel to raise your kids is crazy work. Not sure about
I
that.
think this guy's rage baiting.
Well,
He's
he's
baiting.
it's a good amount of humorous injection. We'll allow it for now.
I'm done.
I think
I
at the end
know
of the
I know this person that also just requested to join up, and I want to know what he wants to say, or if he's just like,
Yeah,
you gotta
good.
pick
Well,
him.
welcome, sir, or ma'am.
Is a guy.
Okay, dude.
Joel.
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay. What's going on, man? What's your age?
I'm 18 and I just joined because I see my friend up here.
Okay, leave. Kick him.
What you got
No,
to say?
don't kick me.
So who's your friend?
Me.
How do you? Okay, so that's Tutu. So are you a feminist?
No, hell no.
Shout out to
Thank
you,
God.
man. Shout out to you.
Yes, shout out to you.
Shout out. So here's the thing. A lot of men think that feminism is some type of mating strategy, so they act like they're feminists, but it's really just to
It's
sleep with
completely
women.
the opposite.
So it's good
Yeah,
that
I really think that like if you're a feminist as a man, like you're just trying to get a girl, you're just trying to catch the hoes. Like honestly,
Yes.
it's like
I'll
a dude
say that
it's like
I-
a dude who perpetually is a friend with women. A lot of women. It's kind of like it's a correlation there.
yeah, I kind of have to change personalities and do that just to act. But I'm not a feminist.
Yeah,
but I do that.
Wait. So now I have a question because perhaps I want to throw a wrench in your relationship. Why are you Tutu's friend? Not because she's a feminist, but because she's a woman. Why are you her friend?
Cause she's funny and she's friends with my cousins and
Yeah, we also went to the same middle school, so.
So this is why I'll just say it. You don't have to respond. But I think feminism has also introduced this type of egalitarian relationship, and it creates these toxic relationships between men, where the men basically become the boyfriend without the perks to the woman, and the woman becomes that man's ace in the hole that he can slip with if she gets drunk or gets vulnerable. That's usually how these relationships are set
Yeah,
up.
the perks, e.g. having sexual intercourse, by the way.
nah, she's just a real ass nigga, you know. Any
Okay, you
homegirl
can't say
I
that word.
have, oh my bad.
I mean, it doesn't.
my bad.
It doesn't matter to me. I mean, I'm
Oh,
not
it
sure if it's.
doesn't matter.
I'm not sure if it's
You
TOS
know,
or not.
But, so like basically all my homegirls, they're just real ass niggas. They're girls, they're niggas in girls' bodies. Like
I know what he's. Yeah, I know what he's. No, bro. I know what he's talking about
please
because
let
my
me-
best friend is male.
Can you please let
Oh,
me like
no,
reword what
this
he
is
just
not
said?
good.
I know. It's
All right,
crazy.
Tutu, you want to clean it up?
Yes, because we're all from LA and we're all raised a certain way, so we just gravitate towards each other.
I'm from LA as well. I mean,
Okay, so
it's
yeah, you
liberal.
get it.
It's liberal.
what
It's
part of
liberal
LA is
slash
you from?
cosmopolitan Pasadena area. This is liberal slash cosmopolitan slash feminist adjacent. That's why a lot of men are.
That guy looked like a feminist.
It's a lot of men are weaker now.
How am I a feminist?
Wait, let me see what you look like. What does he look like a feminist? Nah, you just look like a dude. You just look like a dude who's got friend zone. I'm not saying this is the situation now, but
No, I don't get friends on. I just
Hey,
like
Tutu,
it.
you're a baddie. You're so pretty.
and Tutu, I didn't think you were black. You sound like because you sound like a liberal white
I
woman.
thought she was black.
All right, well, when it comes to this whole
She's pretty. You're
this whole
pretty.
friendship stuff, like
Real natural beauty queen.
All right, be
here's-
honest. You two are friends, just
Yeah.
friends. Have you ever hooked up?
No, never,
No,
never
she
that.
ain't
What are
And
you
why
talking
not?
about?
She ain't hooking up with him.
It's sexual liberty.
She ain't.
yeah, but if Tutu was throwing it, you might catch it. You might catch it at the deep end, right?
Yeah, what are we talking about?
Because it's just how men are. Men are like that.
Yes, men
Men are
claim to
prone
be
to catch
feminists
what's
are
thrown.
masking to get pussy.
I don't mean to be racist, but I don't like black girls.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you won't. That doesn't mean you won't for a night with some tequila.
Nah,
Oh,
I won't.
no,
I
dude.
won't. I
I'm
won't.
the same way. My best friend is a black male. I don't know what it is. I just don't like how their like the dark parts look.
What the hell, man? What the hell,
We gotta
man?
stop.
My mom,
we gotta
my
stop
mom,
this conversation.
See,
We
this-
my
gotta
mom is
stop
the
this
same way, but
conversation.
reversed. I don't
We
like purple
gotta stop
pickles.
this
I like raw
What?
chicken.
See, this is
No,
this is
that's
why
not Wait,
This
can
is
I say
why
something?
I heard black women say stuff like this, and this is why I bleached myself. For stuff like that.
Shut up.
Can I say something real quick? He's
Yeah,
saying
go ahead.
that he
Yeah.
doesn't
What are
like.
we talking
Wait,
Go ahead.
about?
You guys, let me clear this
I
up. He's
see.
saying that he doesn't like black women
Yeah.
because of me. He says that I'm his reason why he doesn't like black women.
Ah.
You're his why.
Well, what is it about you? What
My
is it about you
fiance
that?
is
Jalad, you want to
So
tell them?
what is her? What about
Because
her
she's
blackness? What about her blackness is
It has
repelling?
nothing to do with the blackness.
Well,
James, why you say it like that?
I'm just trying to be concise.
Her
Was it
black.
Jules? It was Jules. Oh, he's
Oh.
gone. He don't want to
Somebody
talk
said this
about it. He was in
combo
the hot
was
seat.
fast.
He was in the hot seat. Look, here's the thing about relationships. To all the feminists are not on the panel. Here's the problem with feminists. I'm sorry, with male and female friendships. I explained the first dynamic where the woman is benefiting from the man. In the way that you guys understand that if you guys go to a club and you're with your best boyfriend dude, not a boyfriend, but boyfriend,
Mhm.
you know he's still going to be expected to protect you if something pops off, right?
Mm-hmm.
If someone grabs your cheeks, he's going to have to defend your honor. What does he get out of that?
Mm-hmm.
What does he get out of that?
To be honest, they don't even do that though. Like the amount of times that I've been with like male friends and I've been
Then they're
like,
pussies.
Yeah, then they're
well,
they're
They're pussies.
they're likely of low character. This isn't to say that
well,
he should like.
They're
I wanted to
feminists.
tell you, but he left the chat. The reason why he doesn't like black women was because
Oh,
in middle school,
You friend zoned him.
no, I kissed him and I told somebody that he sucked the air out of me, and it like traumatized him.
so here's another thing. You guys have a physical history. So am I supposed if I'm a
Oh
dude
Lord.
if I'm a dude and
Yeah.
I see this chick and she's hanging around some dude who sucked air out of her like a Dyson vac,
So to speak.
Mm-hmm.
then
Yeah.
am
what
I
was this
not?
conversation?
Do I not have the authority to say cut this nigga off? Yes or no?
No, you do. You
Yes.
definitely do. If I'm in a relationship, but me and him aren't friends like close. We only hang out with each other when my best friend is there.
No, but what if you meet a dude and he's like, no more dudes, finito, we're done here, no more dudes. Is
If
that
I
fair?
met a dude and he told me no more dudes, then I would be like, okay, the ones that, okay, that's fair.
And
but
the
not
and the
all.
fair thing would be on the
Definitely
opposite.
fair if
No
he's my
other
husband.
girls on his side. No friends girls on his side. That would
Yeah.
be fair,
I
right?
mean, I've been the female friend. And so like some depending on how she acts, because I don't trust no woman. Oh, absolutely not. Especially a jealous, bitter woman. No. The things I look for are, is she doing things for him that I would do? Such as, don't bring
Cooking,
my man his plate. Cooking, don't cook my man no food. Are you okay?
confiding in him.
Confiding in him, depending on what it is. Don't come to my man about no relationship struggles. Why would he give a shit? He has his own to worry about.
But what
I'm
about
dead.
needing inspiration or needing a pick me up or a shoulder to cry on?
Oh,
Is that something
what in
you
the
would you
world?
A
accept?
shoulder to cry on.
She can
Right.
go
Someone
to
in
her
the
man
chat
for
said I
that.
You
think
can
a guy and a girl can be friends.
pick your ass up on out of here is what
I
you
think they
can
can be
do.
friends if they're in a relationship. Like me
Well,
personally, like
mhm.
with my relationship, we have couple friends. So like we're friends with
Yes.
other couples. Like we're not friends with like other single people. We're
Yeah,
friends
but
with
that
other
means
couples.
you guys
Yes,
have an
I agree with that as
associative
well.
relationship, but you guys aren't hanging out. Does this mean you guys unpair and then you guys each hang with the other pairs, the other
I
Well,
singles?
mean,
like
like
so
we
I
had
would be
before. I
close with the
mean,
girlfriend and he would be close with like the the other guy, and then like if we want to do stuff together, we could all hang out
So
together.
you would
Yeah.
so you mean they pair by gender?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's
Like
that's
I
fine.
wouldn't be hanging out with the girl's man just because he has a girlfriend. Like no,
So
I
that's
would
what I'm
be hanging out
explaining
with
because then
Well,
it
why
becomes
not?
confiding and a shoulder to cry on, and this is
because
what I think.
there's no need for me to. I have my own man, and I mean I'd rather be friends with the girl. Like I don't like.
But the reality is, a lot of women benefit more from the male friendship than the other way around. The man
Not me.
basically
Yes.
puts all his money on black in hopes that one day she'll slip and fall into his bed. That's usually how it works.
What in the world?
you know.
And the
Well, that's
other
why I'm
on the
not friends with
opposite
the
end,
guy. I'm only
there's
friends with
also
his
gonna be
right?
girlfriend.
And
5 other
so you
men
see
doing
how
the same
chaotic was
thing.
like, yeah, no, that's never going to happen. Well, obviously because
No.
women are more sexually selective, so it's less likely. But here's the reality. Here's the reality. The reality is women in the continuity of the relationship, they benefit more from getting boyfriend treatment from this man.
Mm-hmm.
You
I
expected
see
for
that.
him to defend your honor. You expect for him to confide in you with a masculine perspective. You expect for him to have a level of protection over you or headship. But there's no, but you're not responsible for anything. You're
Wait, but
effectively
so James,
you're
would you
effectively a
say
f boy without the sex on the female side.
would you say then okay, because I said me and my like fiance were only friends with other couples, right? Would you still say that's a negative thing? Would you say it would be better for me to just be friends with a girl that is single that doesn't have a man?
No, I don't necessarily
Oh,
think that. I think that's reasonable. Like if my wife wants to go hang out with her girl and her girl is bringing her boyfriend, I don't care what they talk about. Their feelings and like Briar's ice cream and stuff. I don't care about that. I'd rather hang out with the dude anyways because we're men. We know how to talk to men. I'm not attracted to men. So
I'm dead.
it's
but
consistent.
No,
It's consistent
I
with
think I see
pairing
what
I
you're
get it.
saying.
gender to gender.
I
I see
prefer it
it.
because then I can like actually talk to the girl about like I would rather be friends with a girl that also has a boyfriend because it's like
Mm-hmm.
we can relate a little bit more. You know what I mean? Like when it comes to
Yeah.
talking about relationships, like if I'm
Oh,
friends with someone, you know,
that's
like
another thing you shouldn't do.
I
what?
would say if you're married or like in a serious relationship to kind of stray away from single friends because single friends have single minds and they want to go do
Right.
single people things. Like I've never been to a club anyways, but like I would never go to something like that without my husband. Not even with my male like friend. Like no. But I would say like I had this conversation earlier today and I kind of realized like now since it's like we're I'm busy. Like I have a life. I have twins. I have a husband. I have a home to make up and keep up. Like so we kind of like have become more acquaintances now. But he never in a million years he has never been like weird or anything like that. And I think a lot of that also has to do with I met him through my husband and my husband and him talk regularly. He's going tomorrow to help him fix his car after work. So like things like that, I guess, like are they're couple friends. You know what I mean? I would never invite him over without my husband either being on the way home or already being here.
And I think
Why not?
that's I think that's a
It's just
fair
a respect
difference.
thing. I just it looks bad.
Well, Cedric, why do you ask that?
Because if you're not actually doing anything with them, what is the respect there? Wouldn't it be the same either way?
If you're not doing anything, then
It's
there's no
more
breach of respect. You're saying there's no breach of respect.
right, and I see where that's coming
It's
from.
the
It's just more so
principle.
of a
It's the
personal
principle and the
thing,
appearance that matters.
Can I go
right?
real quick?
Yep.
I feel like men and women can be friends, but even now, I'm friends with guys that I do feel very connected with, but I still feel like if I wanted to, I could sleep with them. So I just feel like
You
I'm
understand that
just
there's a
saying.
power. You understand that you're benefiting from
That's
a power
crazy.
disparity
Well, let
here.
me finish. Let me finish what I'm like my point.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm trying to say like I don't want to sleep with them, obviously, but I know if I actually wanted to, they would be down. And that's not a friendship. That
That's
is them
feminism right there.
waiting. That is them waiting for their opportunity. But I feel
But
like
you can
they're good
use
in
them.
deceiving it. I don't know. They're good at making it seem like you're friends.
But you're benefiting from it because you get a masculine presence, you get masculine advice, you get preferential treatment because you're a woman. You get the benefit of them being able to protect you in times of physical conflict with other men. These are all boyfriend treatment. This is why I say women who insist on this type of dynamic are F boys, because the women doesn't like the F boy that's like, hey, we're in a situationship, but hey, just let you know, this is just intercourse. There's nothing else. Yeah, but I mean, I low key want more. Yeah, but this is just all it is, and I'm just gonna do my F boy stuff. But the woman on the other end says, this is just friendship. I don't need anything from you except for you to confide in me and I in you. I don't need anything from you except boyfriend treatment. So on one hand, the woman gets boyfriend treatment, being the F boy. On the other hand, the man in the situationship gets girlfriend treatment without the relationship. You see the parallel?
But I would say the boyfriend treatment you're describing is just like a friendship, like confiding in people, protecting each other. Like I do that with my female friends and my male friends. So I don't like.
There's
I feel
a
like
difference. There's a difference between male companionship and female companionship. Because we are meant to be coupled together like a puzzle piece biologically, we're built to be attracted to each other. This is a polarity that you cannot deny. There's a level of magnetism around the relationship. Just because you're not like identifying it, I've just expressed to you how there's gendered expectations that a man's going to have to give you. So if you were gay and you were having a bunch of lesbian relationships, that would be where you can draw the similarity. But because there's sexual polarity there, that's the distinction between the men and the woman relationship versus the woman and the woman relationship. Does that make sense?
I'm not denying that a man and a woman can't be attracted to each other, but I'm just denying the fact that a man thinks he's entitled to sex because he's involved in any type of relationship with a woman. Like I feel like
What's
that
the point of a relationship at that point?
See, Exhibit A. Like that's stupid.
What is the point of a relationship? So the thing about I didn't mention anything about men being entitled to anyone's body. I'm explaining that you agree that men and women are built to be attracted to each other, right?
They can, yeah.
Okay, so is that generally a true statement?
Sure, for the sake of argument, yeah. Let's agree.
Okay, so then the minority position would be there may be exceptions to this, but it doesn't disprove the rule that men and women are meant to be attracted to each other biologically.
I disagree with that, but
okay.
Ader, if you're not giving your cookie to your boyfriend, who are you giving it to?
Yo, Cedric, you gotta be stopped, bro. Like, you gotta be
Well, I mean,
stopped.
they're like
You
kind
gotta
of
be
right,
stopped.
because like I
Why
have
can't the
met.
answer be nobody? Why can't the answer be nobody?
So you're asexual. You don't even want a relationship.
Yeah,
well then that can be, this is the thing, you can be the exception. You might not be attracted sexually to anybody, but that's generally not who we're talking about when we talk on male and female friendship.
Yeah, even if you're attracted to somebody.
This is what I'm explaining. Then you get the F boy. Here's the F boy. I don't know what to call it. I don't know how to coin this female F boy.
Loser. Oh, a bitch.
Well, it's too broad. Like, what is? I don't know the term to coin.
It's a simp.
Like a
Not a
friend, like a
304.
friendship, a male friendship predator, because you're you're basically exploiting these men. Because these men, in the scenario where Tutu mentioned, I know I got this cookie, but ain't nobody gonna get this jar. Well, she acknowledges that there's that it's basically a seller's market. She can, or she's a buyer's market. She can buy whatever she wants, and she's lording that over the men. But in the scenarios where it's more where you're being incredulous or you're playing dumb, like, oh, I'm not benefiting from this male thing. You're still expected. A man is still expected to protect you from other men. Is that not true?
okay, I feel like what you're describing is a situation where there's a lack of communication. All right, let's say if I have a guy that's attracted to me and we're friends, right? If I understand that he's attracted to me, I would say, hey, I understand that you're attracted to me, but I don't feel the same way. Do you still want to continue being friends? If he says yes, we can continue the friendship. If he
I don't want this to be a relationship. Can we just have sex? Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, same thing. So wait, what's the issue?
Not a relationship.
That's not. I'm explaining to you that that's not a relationship. Like Cedric just said, it's not really a friendship. This is a transactional agreement.
Right.
It's not actually friendship, because a friend is somebody you don't have any.
No pay.
You don't have any.
No, that's not necessarily.
A friend is someone you confide in, and the relationship does not have an end date. But in these type of relationships, they do. If a man has a problem in the future, he's going to call on that. Hey, this dude that you're hanging around, no, we're gonna have to dead that, and he would be well within his right. That would be reasonable to request. So the relationships oftentimes have a time limit. It's like you have a friend at work. You guys aren't really friends. It's just because when either of you is unemployed or you lose the job or leave the job. Was that really friendship? No, it wasn't.
Acquaintances?
It was just benefit So here's the thing. I can agree with you when it comes to having an associate, like somebody you see in the gym, you chop it up with for a little bit, but you're not talking about wants, dreams, and relationships. Someone who you have a professional relationship with, like here on TikTok, exchange ideas here and there, but there's no personal substance there. Those are not friends, right? Those are associates. I'm talking about men who you're like, so Gary, what do you think about my relationship with John? This is when you're using a man as a confidant.
You're getting favors from him without
a masculine
doing anything in
perspective.
return. Yeah.
Because here's the thing, women don't generally want sex like that. The way that they express their desires and how they go for and how they connect with people, particularly the opposite, is through feeling safe, through feeling heard, through being seen. These are things that a male friend can provide, but she's not responsible to be exclusive to him. This is what I'm explaining. You're taking advantage of him. You can say all you want. Well, I'm not entitled to give him cookie. He doesn't have access to me that way. I don't owe him anything. That's true, but you're only proving my point.
And what's your point?
My point is that you know that you're never going to give him anything, but you're still going to use him as it benefits you, where he doesn't get the same in return. Men want sex. They want to have exclusive access to a woman. That's oftentimes how we interpret our relationships. Women don't need sex like that because they're more selective biologically. And because of this, they select for different traits like being heard, being seen. So they are extracting that from the man. You see how the man is extracting it as a F-boy? He's getting in the situationship. He benefits more from that than the woman does. Whereas, yeah, because women generally don't want to just have situationships. They're going to eventually pop the "what are we" question. All men in the chat have probably got that text after trying to do a situationship with a chick. What are we?
Yep.
Women want to change the terms because that's not how they operate. They can't just have a transactional relationship like that. But what the woman can do perpetually is have the friend, the guy to get her Advil at 11 o'clock at night, the guy to pick her up from the club after she had a failed interaction with a dude, the guy to potentially get in a fight with a dude who he doesn't like. These are all male benefits. Or I'm sorry, benefits that men give to women that they don't get anything in return.
Which is sex.
James, can I ask you a question?
Yep.
Okay, so I personally myself am not LGBTQ or anything like that, but your view on like friendship, right? Let's say you're with a woman or there's a woman with a man that is like bisexual in some sort. If you think like women should only be friends with like women and men should only be friends with men, like what do you do in a scenario like that?
Me personally, like if a man's bisexual and I'm his friend?
No. Like if a girl is with a bisexual man or vice versa. Or
that's even worse. That's even double the potential. Like, okay, if a man, let's just say if a man's bisexual, it still follows that he's going to be sexually attracted to a woman. If a man is gay, you might have a better argument, right? I don't understand your question. If I'm making any sense.
No, like what would you? Okay, so would you just say they shouldn't be friends with anybody?
Who?
Oh, she's saying that if I'm
where do bisexual men lie?
Well, if they're friends with straight men, then there's not going to be any sexual interaction there.
Right.
I mean, me, like as a bisexual woman, like it's just you make that trust. I don't know. I haven't done anything for him to have that.
Oh, okay. So let's just say I'm married to a woman, but she's bisexual. How would I draw those lines?
If you think women should be friends with like just women,
it would behoove me to take more. I would be more intentional on gauging these the dynamic between the woman and her women friends, because if there's sexual tension there, that's a potential problem too. That you have to just have added level of suspicion or awareness on that. It would just complicate it. It would just add more red tape.
So why can't
So would you just not date a bisexual woman, or would you tell her
Well,
to not like?
by virtue of that reason, yeah, I wouldn't. But I'm a Christian, so
Why can't you just take that ideology with a woman interacting with a man, right? Because I feel like with friendships, there's not always sexual tension between a man and a woman.
yeah, there's not always sexual tension, but
You
there's a thread of it there. I was explaining, and there's a complementary
Yeah,
or
there is.
a
I'm not gonna lie,
dimorphic
there
way
is.
that you guys benefit from. Sometimes the man can benefit from the woman's feminine perspective as well, but it's generally vastly overshadowed by how the women benefit from the man. So to answer your question about damn, I forgot the question. It's getting late.
The bisexual.
Yeah, the bisexual chick just adds red tape.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I just wanted to know your like personal take on it.
So when a man is simping for a woman and not getting the cookie in return, what is the point of him doing this? You said putting it on a roulette table. Eventually, she might do something with him, but that's not really the reality in most cases.
Yeah, it's a hidden mating strategy that's often not said. But after a couple of drinks or a breakup or a woman finally reaching that threshold of feeling safe, she'll likely give in. It's a mating strategy, oftentimes.
And is that not like telling of the woman's character more than the man?
Well, it says both bad things on both parts. The man is being oftentimes not confident, and he's not being direct because he's afraid or insecure about certain things. And the woman, on the other hand, is just knowing that she has more, she knows like she has more power in the relationship, but she's just using it to her advantage because it benefits her.
But I don't agree with the ideology of like women being the gatekeepers to sex and like men only seeing women as how much sex can I get out of her. Like I feel
Okay.
like that was a friendship in the first place, if that's all he's concerned about.
So Darren Sola, you don't agree with that premise about how men and women have different strategies and they align that way. Is that what you're saying?
I guess so.
So you don't agree that women control access to SEX?
No.
All right. So do you agree that women have an inherent biological risk more than a man does if pregnancy fails, if the commitment fails? She has a higher risk of loss. Do you agree with that?
Of loss of what?
She has a loss of the relationship. She loses the father. She loses potentially the baby. She can have a baby out of wedlock. She can have less resources for the baby if the man walks away. This is an inherent biological risk that the man does not have. Is that correct?
Not biological, but it's more of a structural, the way our society has structured marriage and how a man has more, I guess, well, not more, in the past he had more financial and like.
Well, if you take society out of it and it's just one woman and one man, if that relationship fails without society, she is going to have an even harder loss, right? Because she'll have to deal with the kid and she'll have to gather resources for that kid, right? So I'm saying without society, this still exists.
Yeah, it'd definitely be harder to raise a kid with.
So
just by
I'm just
yourself.
explaining that it's not necessarily a social thing that's been implanted on her. This is just this is just alignment with her biological incentives, an instinct. You take the
Okay, so
structure
I
out,
have
you
a-
take the
I have a
society
question
out,
too.
the woman's still going to be worried about, hey, dang, if this man leaves me, I'm going to be on my back with a kid trying to fend from tigers or whatever elements. Otherwise, does that make sense? The man, on the other hand, doesn't have to. He can just dick and dodge. And there's no consequence. The only consequence laid on him is a social construction, actually. Right? Men shaming him or men
Okay.
putting him on, or the society putting him on child support.
But I think a woman can give birth to a kid and like, like say, hey, give the kid to the guy and like dip and leave as well.
Yeah, but
That
generally
is
women,
true.
generally women generally women connect with the kids that they have. They don't throw them. They don't usually
That's also true.
decouple with them. They usually, it makes sense as that is because there's hormones. So there's hormones functionally bonding you to this baby in the womb and outside the womb. So that you would be speaking to an exception, right? Not the general rule, correct? So the reason why I bring this up is because I'm explaining to you an inherent biological incentive that women have to, one, protect a kid that's coming out, that's about to be born, that can be perceived. These are all biological incentives outside of social construction. So it would stand to reason that she would be more sexually selective because she, in reality, biologically has more risk if things go wrong. So it would make sense why she's going to be more selective, because the man doesn't have to. The man, you can't even right now, you cannot force a man to be a father. You cannot. You can force him to pay a couple of percentage of his check, but you cannot force him to be a father. So even right now, on top of all the social constructions, men are still not biologically responsible in reality. Morally, you might be able to make the case, but in reality, they're not.
I would disagree with that because I feel like you're bringing in the idea of bioessentialism into that aspect, and I just don't agree with that because I honestly do think men are capable of having that connection to a kid or to their own kid or to their own child. They're just deprived from that from an early age because, again, the patriarchy teaches men not to have those type of connections, to not feel those type of emotions towards anything at all. The only goal they have is power, success, and respect. So
all right. Well, those are a lot of. Where's your evidence of that? Because it seems this is your counter argument. So what is your evidence of that?
How is a man gonna have a connection with an unborn baby?
How's a woman gonna?
Well, I can acknowledge that a man will have a connection with an unborn baby because it's the future that he sees. If he's selfish, and if we can acknowledge that to have selfish intent, it doesn't express itself in the here and now. It extends out into the future. You want a better future for yourself. You want a future, whether it's short term or long, right? Our incentives, our selfish incentives, they extend out, right? Can we agree on
What
that?
if it's like a random 6 at the bar you just banged because you were drunk and you don't really want a future with them? And you don't really want the child?
Then yeah, you don't. Then that is also a reality. But this is what I'm explaining to the lady here that our incentive to connect with our kid is not as biologically, hormonally, chemically caused.
Yeah, that's true.
You just can't. You just have to go against science at that point because it's not. I mean, you talk about biological essentialism, but I'm just making an argument from a biological middle school book. Is that biological essentialism? The fact that you have a level of oxytocin coming out the milk when you're feeding, like is that bioessentialism?
No, I'm just saying that you're arguing that men aren't capable of connecting with their kids.
I'm not making that argument. I'm making the argument that if you gauge who has more of an incentive, you have to gauge it on who has more to lose. And whoever has more to lose is likely going to take that into account. That doesn't mean that men don't have any incentive. It just means that they have less than women biologically. That's the argument.
Even if there was a difference in between incentives between men and women, I argue that I don't think that's biological. I also think if it was biological, it'd be minuscule to the point where you probably wouldn't even be able to metrically measure it. I just think it's original.
Just because we don't measure it like out of a beaker in a science tube, that doesn't mean we can't acknowledge the behavior to biology or to exist in reality. That's like saying, hey, there's a market pressure on a price and everyone decides on it. But because we can't physically measure it, therefore it doesn't exist. No, it's a reality. It might be a little bit abstract, but it's still biologically informed. It's a behavior that I'm trying to map onto the difference in reproductive strategies. You're saying, oh, well, we can't measure it exactly, therefore it doesn't exist. I don't think that's reasonable.
And what does it say about the woman that decides to get with a man who's going to abandon her and her child to begin with?
By the argument, we can say that that woman is more or is less risk averse. We could at least say that. We could at least deduce that she's more risk averse than your average woman. Because most women are not slanging that. They're not hot in the pants. Most women are not hot in the pants. But go ahead.
You say, how do you know that?
Well, I know that because of the premises that were almost granted by Darren Sola, Adarin Sola.
And
The
you
premise
don't think
of
women should wait until marriage?
They should, but should is a normative argument. I'm only making a descriptive argument right now about the descriptive reality, not the prescriptive on what we should do. Just the descriptive reality that women know that they look around them and they see, oh wait, she met that dude. They went in a tent, then they popped out a baby. That lady met a tent, then she popped out a baby when she had that dude in the tent. So women can deduce just by simple reasoning that I should make sure that if I bring a man into a tent, he's not going to leave. Is that some type of social construction? No, it's just pattern recognition. That's how we are as humans.
And you don't think women want multiple partners?
Generally, no, they don't.
Interesting.
But
I don't necessarily subscribe to the idea of waiting until marriage per se. I don't think it's a realistic outlook to have. Plus, like, I think, like, okay, so if you're with this person and they're great everywhere else, but it's like in this aspect, they're terrible, and it's like, and you're not compatible. Like,
but at
that can create strife in a marriage in the long run if there is
if there's no sexual
incompatibility that way. Yeah, 100%, man or woman.
At that point, you've given up your body, your energy to a man when you could have waited. It's not really unrealistic. You just choose not to wait until marriage.
I'm saying, like, as on a broad scale, it would definitely, like how society is today, like it would 100% be unrealistic. But on an individual stance, yeah, sure. Like, if that's your thing, why not?
So what's the point of hooking up with men? You don't want them to be your forever person. You're just hooking up with them for the sake of hooking up. That's what women are attracted to.
Because sex can be fun. Sex doesn't have to be like.
Uh-oh.
Did I say something bad?
You did sound a little.
And that's my point.
Well, that would be Adarin Sola's. It would make sense based on her theology of feminism, because feminism supports sexual liberation. So
I
mean, I do, but I don't.
Yeah, there's feminism that needs to be exercised out of you as well. Chaotic.
And
probably does.
The woman who just said sex could be fun, wasn't your point earlier you had friends you were using and not giving them sexual interactions?
Well, yeah, if I'm not sexually attracted to them, like
exactly. We live in a hypergamous society. You're going to use all these men who are like lower on the spectrum and only hook up with the men with the higher sexual market value.
Can I ask you though?
Well, before you bring up the question, Chaotic, let me introduce uncapped potential. What is your good? Welcome. Doing all right. Thanks for asking. What's your age?
I am 50 years old.
All right. Thanks for coming on. Feel free to drop your comments or say what you need to after Chaotic poses a question.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask her, like, do you feel like almost like not an empowering feeling. What's the word I'm looking for? Like sort of like a dominating sort of feeling, or like you're I don't want to use the word dominatrix because that's wrong. But like
empowering?
Yeah, I guess I would use empowering. When you know that you have essentially you have this man by the balls, okay? And you're like holding your cookie in front of his face and dangling it, but you still expect him to do these favors and protect you and do all of the boyfriend things, but
No.
not
Oh,
have
you're getting
the
fucked by
sexual
another man.
exclusivity.
Dude.
Yeah, like I don't understand that. uh, That that just sounds like a bitch. I'm
Okay,
sorry. Like,
I'm
Yes,
gonna answer this question. I have
exactly.
to go to sleep.
And that's the average feminist man.
No, I don't. I honestly, because again, I would not use someone if they have like romantic feelings towards me. I would distance myself away from them, me personally. However, I do understand, like, I would like separate that ideology from feminism and say, yeah, that's just a bitch. Like, you're just using that person, even though they have romantic feelings for you. But I wouldn't say that's inherently feminism, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but the
yeah, it
intent.
does.
Well, you said you're gonna go to sleep, but I do
Yeah.
appreciate you coming up, Adarin Sola.
Thank you for not being a crazy whack job.
What? Well, you're welcome, I
Oh,
guess.
girl, I've dealt with crazy ones.
Oh,
Yeah, well, Adarin
thank
Sola,
you.
you're welcome back up anytime. I appreciate you being a good sport.
Thank you for having.
You're welcome. Dash, what is your age, Dash?
18.
Thanks for coming up. And I think Uncapped had something you wanted to mention.
All right, go ahead, Cap.
Oh no, I'm just enjoying the conversation. I'm fascinated with this stuff. You know, I'm fascinated with the differences between men and women and things that might be social constructs versus things that might be biological instincts. You know, excuse me. For a long time in my life, I wrote a lot of that stuff off. I come from kind of an engineering background, so I was always kind of a mathematical purist snob of like, if you cannot apply calculus to it, then it's shit.
Very empirically driven.
Yeah, but now, like the last, like, look, I'm 3 years at the end of a divorce process, and it's been the most painful and the most beautiful thing I've went through in my life. I've grown a lot. I've understood a lot about psychology, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, I've been really interested in psychology this last 3 years. And I know there's a lot to it, like you were saying earlier, even though we can't measure it in any sort of tangible sense. These things exist, and a lot of them are theoretical, but a lot of them have correlations. And I don't know. I think it's cool to talk about it. I appreciate you having this space. And yeah, I agree with a lot of what you've been saying. I think, of course, there's a bell curve, and there's things on either side that are outliers. So it's hard to say all women or all men, but it's like the majority usually is what I speak to. And I feel like a lot of times, women will use their sexual resources and trade it for security resources, and men will gather up financial and security resources and trade it for sexual access. And that's just kind of the way it's been,
And
relationship.
So you're taking kind of like your underpinnings of your worldview are from evolutionary psychology, at least now.
Perhaps. I mean, I guess I don't know a lot about that term, evolutionary psychology.
It's just how evolutionary, or I forgot what they're called. I think it's evolutionary anthropologists, not cultural, but a lot of times evolutionary anthropologists focus on, I think it's either evolutionary or human anthropologists. They have a strong, one of the anthropologists, damn it, they talk about the long-term history of how humans have evolved to do X. So when I'm talking about a lot of these incentive structures and how they're basic, it's trying to map that onto how we've evolved this way. Now, if you don't believe in evolution, you could still make the case for however much recorded history we have. But if you're an evolutionary psychologist and you're arguing with people who agree with evolution, then they would even have less to argue against. If we're talking about hundreds of thousands of years, as opposed to 6 or 10, you know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, it's interesting. And like we were just talking about earlier about, some women will use their sexual power to gain, things. And that's you know, of course, why wouldn't you if you had that sort of power? And I don't know. I see that a lot, and I think it's interesting because I see like the celibate crowd too, like guys that go celibate, and I understand like there's a deeper thing there. You know, it's like it's not just dude's not having sex right now. It's like he's kind of turned the tables, right, in his power dynamic when he interacts with the opposite sex, because and I don't think a lot of women, I think a lot of women are aware of this, but I think some women maybe aren't aware as the nuance and how much this plays into it. But their sexual attractiveness to men is a very powerful thing, and they do use it in a lot of ways, right?
That they don't even know.
That they don't even know. And so when a
That's how
guy goes,
we're-
let me just land this. So when a guy goes celibate, it's like there's nothing that she can use to push him off his frame or get him to negotiate in a way to where it's a different power dynamic. It's like, look, I'm not interested. We're never going to have sex. So now we can negotiate, and it's a little different, right?
You're like turning the spigot off.
Yeah, exactly. It's like there's really, you know, we just have to negotiate straight away. There's no, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting, and I guess I see that a lot more now. And I think women's sexual market value is extremely high when they're younger, and that fades over time. And it's kind of the flip side with men. Like, you know, if you take
a feminist would tell you this is patriarchal oppression.
I mean, I don't. Yeah, I'm not trying to control any women. I never have. You know, I don't know. I don't know. You know, but it's like if you take an 18-year-old dude and an 18-year-old woman, assuming they're average, whatever, there's not, you know, something terribly wrong with one or the other. You know, the woman has an extreme amount of inherent value and leverage, and the guy doesn't. He's a liability to the boss man. He doesn't have any skills. He can't make any money. He's probably not very emotionally deep. He's got really no value. So he has to, I mean, I'm not saying he doesn't have any human value. All humans have value, but as far as like negotiating, you know, he's got to go build his value, right? And so that's kind of why dudes peak in their mid 30s, and it can continue on even into my age, right?
That's capitalism. That's enslavement.
It's not really capitalism. It's just human
it's not
behavior.
Capitalism. It's just
human behavior.
Look, as a 50-year-old man, I have a lot of experience. Okay, it has nothing to do with money. There's a lot of things that I'm capable of doing. I have a lot more influence than I did. I know a lot about a lot of things, right? And so the only way I got that is through building myself out, right? And that's where a guy has to go build his frame, right? Like I tell my kid, I have two kids. I have a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old, and I tell them, like, you can't, like, don't chase things, right? You need to focus on yourself. You need to lock in, and you need to build yourself. You need to fail, get up, try again, fail, get up. You build that resiliency, you build that emotional depth, and you start to create gravity, and you start to stand out, and then people kind of gravitate towards you because you're doing something, you're going somewhere, you're about something, you have a system, you have principles, you have values, you have a code. You do all this stuff, and then you start to become a higher value man, right? And then things come to you, right? And if you're chasing all the time, you're not building value. It's just different.
Chasing principally, sorry to cut you off, but chasing principally, as you were saying, would be the man who's not celibate, who might be more crazed in that way.
Absolutely.
If the principle is not to chase, then it would be in alignment with holding off on your sexual interactions. And if you're doing that, you effectively take the subconscious power that women have over men. So I think this is really good, but I do want to point out, when I argue with these feminists, they will say on one hand that they support choice, but when you hear Uncapped are explaining male choices and how they differ in value, this is when the feminists will be inconsistent, and she'll say, "This is wrong. We must institutionally pathologize this, or we must create laws against this type of strategy." They don't actually believe in choice for men.
Right.
They want to shame the choices that men have, and they want
double
to.
standard.
Whereas
I don't
you're
understand what he said wrong.
so what you're saying, you're right, chaotic. You and I would agree with that. Uncapped is making things that seem to be common sense, right? But the problem is this is the structure or the mechanism that creates the patriarchy they hate. So they have an incentive to do this. They don't like this structure. They don't like how it is. And that's why they're always going to take issue with it. That's why you're going to see a lot of feminists I argue with, like the one who was up, say, biological incentives? Hogwash. We need to tell them it's toxic masculinity. We need to tell them that it's internalized misogyny. They don't actually like choices for men.
I mean, like, I feel like when you remove natural, basic masculinity, it removes the man's purpose, like what he could build a foundation of what he feels like his purpose is in life. Like, because a lot of men, like, their purpose is, being a husband, being a father, having a good, career to build up his empire. If he doesn't have that, he has no purpose. And a man without purpose is either going to do one of two things. He's going to become a statistic, in the sense of self-deletion.
Crime or yeah.
Violence, or crime. Or he's just going to leech off of somebody else's identity and adopt it.
Yeah, or just
not
be a
even know
heathen.
who
Or
he is.
yeah, that's true.
Right.
And you're explaining male value, but the feminist in her pursuit of egalitarianism, she must foist and force any perceived playing field that's not leveling. So she has to logically, by her own principles, she has to emasculate. She has to. And on the other hand, she has to devalue the woman's role. Women are baby makers. Why do you just want a woman locked up in a cage? Why do I want the next progenitor of society? This is how.
Right. I agree. And I think, like, they get the idea of traditional dynamics very wrong. I've always said, and I've argued with men, women, about this. If you pick a good man that you trust, that does his job and takes on his role and responsibilities greatly and puts you into consideration, you really call the shots. He just doesn't want you to question his judgment and to give up your cookie. That's literally it. Like, if you ask it, or you even say, "Oh, you know what, honey? I think the living room would look better blue." Oh, guess what? This weekend, the living room's painted blue.
Or where I'll draw a olive branch with you, because although I'll argue that men should and need to effectively have veto powers in a lot of scenarios, a woman's influence is definitely a soft power, and that's how it existed in the patriarchal system we had before women voted. So it would be consistent societally as well as likely in the home.
I'll concede to that.
Yeah,
All right.
and like
Yeah, go ahead.
Chaotic was saying earlier, like, she's absolutely right. Like, a guy has to find his purpose, right? And like, you find that by trying and failing and getting back up. Like I tell my kids, like, your job is to figure out what lights you up. Like, your job in life is to figure out what lights you up. Like, you might have to have a day job, you might have to do things to pay the bills, like, that's fine. But you always got to be trying to get to what gets you fired up, what doesn't feel like work, what makes hours feel like minutes. Try to find a way to stay in that space and create some sort of value to where you can afford to stay in that space. Maybe you get into a career, maybe you create a business. And then here's the thing. So then you got that purpose, right? And it could be a different purpose, but like, and my girl understands this, right? The girl that I'm with now, that I've been with now for a couple of years, we've worked things out, and she's like, she understands, and she's told me like, hey, look, I can't be your purpose. And I'm like, good, we're on the same page. Like, she does not want to be pedestalized, right? And that's part of the problem, is a lot of these women, they want to be pedestalized, but then I don't even think they realize that it gives them the ick, or it makes them feel unsafe, because it's like, look, if my dude is like, I'm his everything, then like, he's not driving the ship. Who's driving the ship? Like well, I can't be all that for him, right? So that's like right? So like, the guy's got to have something above his woman. It doesn't mean his woman isn't a very significant part of his life. It's probably right below that, or his religion, whatever. She's very, very important, but he's got to have something above it. Like, he's got to be driving the ship, and like, yeah.
I understand what you're saying, and I somewhat agree. I would just like say that is more so. Well, never mind. I just answered my own Okay, because I was gonna say that's like his why, but then wouldn't your why be your purpose? So then, yeah, it kind of lays that out.
Yeah, and obviously the woman can align with that and be congruent with that and be forwarding
Right.
to that goal, but it shouldn't be the end goal. Like your purpose, you can agree, Chaotic, that your purpose should probably extend like, I just want
yeah.
to make you happy. That's
Oh
my
yes, because
purpose.
then you're a simp,
'Cause that sounds like a
and
beta male.
yeah, yeah.
No,
That's
I like, it brings me joy when my wife is happy for sure, but
mhm.
it's not like the underlying highest prioritizing purpose, right?
Right,
Sometimes
because
I'm
it's
gonna
like
do things that are gonna make her mad. She might hate me in the moment, but it would be necessary.
right, right, and I can totally understand that, and it's just that's just how marriage works. Like you choose to love each other every day.
Yeah, and let's end there because I'm gonna be closing off. Uncapped. Thanks for coming up. Chaotic.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for coming up as well. Cedric, thanks for throwing wrenches.
Thank you.
Lambo, I saw you up here, Lambo. I wanted to, I know you wanted to maybe have something to say, but you're gone now. But I think, so what I'll do is I'll be back here on Wednesday if you guys want to participate next time. Uncapped, I appreciate the follow. I think you sent me one too, Chaotic. Appreciate that. So guys, I'm going to be closing out. I'm going to be clipping up some more TikTok events. If you want to be notified the next time I go live, just hit me with that plus sign. And
Yes, absolutely.
thanks for coming on,
Bye.
guys. You guys have a good rest of your
Have a
night.
great night.
Right. All right. So that would be my marriage for you, Mr. Virgin, who's attractive. Apologize that I wasn't able to get to it. I'm learning. I really apologize that I'm not able to get directly on these YouTube quotes. It's just a bit hard to juggle two at the same time. Trying to get used to it. Please forgive me. Have some grace. Pretty please. I'm going to be clipping up these moments. You're going to see them on YouTube. You're going to see them on my TikTok. Appreciate y'all for coming up. Appreciate the support. But I want to say to whoever's watching on the YouTube side, your support means more to me than on the TikTok side, at least how I perceive it, because I can get more, I can make this into something a lot quicker than on TikTok. But in reality, how it works in the social media game is the institutions are captured by the feminists, from the search engines to academia to the social media. That's how it is. So without you guys, without your support, I'm not gonna, I'm cooked. This is why I'm likely not even gonna be able to rely on ad revenue. I'm likely not gonna be able to rely on partnerships. I mean, maybe if there's some conservative ones, but I mean, hell, if I play video games and I have a conservative lean, what developer is gonna wanna give me one of their game keys to review? They're all captured by a bunch of feminists. So it's going to be a lot harder for me to what I would argue is speaking the truth, trying to get feminism up out of here, wrapped up in a body bag and shipped to the incinerator. If you want to support that, hit me with a subscription, and I'll see y'all next time. Thanks for coming on. Peace. Oh, man.